Welcome everybody to the Social Dig, the greatest underrated show on the World Wide Web. I am your host, Mr. Rob G. And as always, we're going to be digging into the topics that keep you talking and the talk that keeps you thinking. It's important. So come on in, kick your feet up, get an ice cold beverage, get comfortable, get ready to join the conversation. We just had, and this is always follows an awesome show over at the After Hours, so I appreciate everybody for coming over from the After Hours to the Social Dig call-in show where we can continue the conversation. We can spark up a new conversation. It's really whatever you guys want out there. Really whatever you want. Let me turn on my mic before everybody says my mic is too low. And we'll start there. So yeah, definitely, man, Eugene Braxton, right? We already knew though, man, because we had an awesome conversation over here, and it was bound to be nothing but greatness over there. So we'll continue to do that. We will be bringing Eugene back on to After Hours. He has a whole lot more to say, and you know, on this road to enlightenment and the place that we're trying to get to as humanity, we need those conversations. We have to, you know, we have to come to an understanding on what it is and what our path really is, and you know, it's information like that that adds to the knowledge stream, the database, and is information that we're able to pass on to others as well to kind of make it spread out in a good way, right? Because there's other things that spread too. There's cancers, right? Things that are not good that spread out. But this is positivity, right? This is positivity in the energy that's going to propel us forward as humanity. All these types of conversations that we have. So hopefully we have a fruitful, inspirational, enlightening night here, you know, with anyone who ends up joining the conversation, or we'll just, you know, I don't know. We'll play it by ear right now. The only game plan I have for tonight is enlightening conversations and moving the needle. So however we have to do that is how we're going to do that tonight. And let me go ahead and thank everyone that has come over and join the conversation tonight. So we have Race Fan actually Jessica S hit first. Jessica S in the gold, Race Fan silver, D Worm in the bronze. Then we have Joe Monk. So Jimmy Cricket, Race Fan, I saw your name on shows that won't begin for a month. Oh, is that the key to success, Race Fan? I don't know. Is that the key to success? Did Joe Monk just spill the beans on the key to success in becoming the first wrench in? Yeah. Okay. We got Lovey Love. Y'all, I'm too. Wish me a happy birthday. Okay. I heard you said it was your birthday, but I heard you said it wasn't your birthday, and I heard you said it was. So, happy day of your birth. Long Island Bigfoot, thanks for coming in. What's shaking? Let's shake the ground with some awesome conversation. D-Cypher, okay, LOL. Is this Rob's show, but another one? Yeah, D-Cypher, actually, this is Social Dig is where I'm originally at. So prior to starting over at Spaced Out Radio, this is actually where it all began. So if you go back in my archives, you're going to see some really great content, some really thought-provoking conversations. Just as of lately, we've been doing the late night call-in show because, you know, the time is as far as we understand, it's not something that we can stretch. So, yeah. So, yeah, definitely, D-Cypher, welcome, too. Thanks for coming over. Deb from Sacramento, from Sac. Love it. Thanks for coming in. I said D-Worm, didn't I? Nope. That's just, okay, I did. But anyway, D-Worm again. Thanks for coming in. Oh, wow. Thank you, D-Cypher. I really appreciate that. I really do. And I hope to bring you more of whatever it is that you're getting from the conversations we have. I hope to bring more of that. So let me know if I'm not. If I'm ever not, let me know. Tim Altman, thanks for coming in. Angels Are Life, thank you so much for coming in. Area 51, missed you tonight, bro. Didn't see you over at the after hours, but I'm glad that you're here at the call-in show. So thank you for coming in, and let's go down the listy here. Susan Alloway, thank you for coming in. Susan Alloway, you already know we will be talking soon. Susan, thank you very much for coming in. And JSCO77, hi folks, thank you for coming over. JSCO77, I hope I got all your questions answered over there tonight. If not, apologize, and we'll be able to revisit that and get it going on. Cowie Snyder, thank you for coming in. New name, awesome. Thank you for coming. And I think that is it for now. Neil Warden, thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. Yes. Okay. Wes H, appreciate you for coming in. All right, so yeah, looks like we're all caught up, and yeah, we did. We had an awesome conversation over there. Eugene Braxton, the man, came through. We talked about near-death experience, and we didn't go, and Grantavius Max stopped by. Wow, that was amazing as well. So shout out to Grantavius Max and Eugene Braxton for making this an awesome show. I really had a great time. And, it opened, that conversation, and we've kind of touched on it over here, on the near death and what this all means and these realms. And, it can get deep. And like I was saying earlier, it's whenever you get into talking about or having a conversation about, NDE, that's near death. That's near the end, essentially, as far as your physical form goes. And, hearing Eugene talk about the experience with that and essentially describing, pretty vividly what it's like for your body to go through that process, I thought is pretty amazing. I couldn't do anything but listen on that. But yeah, I guess, it's compelling for us because all we know, for the most part, all we know is the physical form, our physical form. We're just now starting to bridge into our consciousness and understanding what that is and potentially unlocking that, hopefully sometime soon. So I look forward to having that type of conversation. You know what I mean? Once we figure out what consciousness is, and we can kind of delve into even deeper conversations on what that really means for the overall scope of where we are. So let me go ahead and bring up the show slide, which is normally our Ask the Chat, but essentially bring this up so that you can post a question in the live chat or call in message line. You can do that at any time. That number, actually 24 hours a day. Let me preface that. So even when this show is not on, you can call that number and you can leave either a message with your experience. You can just call to say hi. That number receives text messages and picture text as well. So if you have things that you want to show, maybe UFO sightings, you can go ahead and send those to that number and we will show them on the show, either here or after hours, depending on how the time works out and what the content is. And yeah, and you can also call this line to give us ideas of things you would like to see in the show. And as I put out a statement earlier, which is actually pretty good, and I kind of want to go over that list real quick while we're in the moment. I put out on social media under Spaced Out Radio, under I want to say it was After Hours. I put it in a few different places, but I essentially asked you guys who would you be interested in seeing come on After Hours for interview, and we got a pretty good response from those who were online. So let me see who, or I compiled a bunch of the names here. So let me go ahead and bring that up here. All right, so we did. Oh, thank you very much, JSCO77. Thank you. Some of the names that we ended up getting here, we had Peter Davenport of Newport. These were suggestions given on the social media site on Facebook for suggestions on people to bring on. And just let me know if you guys agree with these or if you have any others to add to the list. I will be adding them in real time. JSCO, is Eugene coming here tonight? Thought he said he was. Yeah, he said that he may be. And actually, I am going to be reaching out to him to see, because it was an awesome show. Let me see. Give me one moment here. Okay. All right, yeah, JSCO, we're going to see what he says. He did say that he would, and maybe he will. He usually does. He comes by sometimes later in the conversation, but let me go back to the list here. So I had Peter Davenport. Yes, okay, so Nikki Angels Are Alive says yes. Let's see. Okay, behind Mike. Who's Mike? Fill me in, Decipher. Because we want to take the lead on all this stuff, man. I don't ever want it to appear that we get leftovers or we get people, way after another platform. So let me know. Neil. So yeah, Coley is doing okay from what I understand. Yeah, last that I've heard, she was doing okay. And let's see. Yeah, Decipher, say who Mike is. David Mason, did I add that to the list? No, I'm doing that right now. Okay, so here's the list. Oh, wow. Okay, Decipher. That's different. Yeah. That's an awesome idea. I'm going to write that down. I interviewed with Dave one time, and it was really only about my UFO side. Yeah, it touched on some things, I guess, but yeah. Sure, it could go into, okay. All right, so yeah, I'll let others answer those because it seems like some people understand what's going on there. So, okay. All right. So here's who we have. So Peter Davenport, Newfork, George Filer, National UFO Center. We have Paul Wallace. We have Jonathan Dover and Stanley Milford Jr. With the Navajo Rangers. I was looking into them and they don't seem to have any contact information. So if anybody has any info on how to reach out to them, and forward it to me, I would appreciate that. That would be awesome. Then we had a suggestion of Suzanne Hanson. We had Misha Johnson. You do have a contact for Jonathan? Excellent. Angels are life. If you could email that to me, it's Mr. Rob G, just like it shows up top. Mr. Rob G at gmail.com. That would be awesome. Earl Grey Anderson Mufon. Let me add Earl Grey Anderson to the list here. And I'm talking about some awesome guests, guys. You know, Earl Grey Anderson Mufon. Okay, and Heidi Pop. Okay, I will definitely do that. Long Island Bigfoot, Mike in the building. Heidi Pop. I will look into Heidi Pop as well. Okay. Oh, you say you sent it, Nikki? Let me see. All right, nothing as of yet. All right, let me keep going here and check it out. Okay, cool. Angels Alive. Yeah, Nikki, that'll be fine. That'll be fine. I have a huge list to get through. I've reached out to a portion of these people as well, and let's see. Oh yeah, yeah, Mr. Jim Goodall. Yeah, and that's my guy, man. Jim is, and I love Jim. Jim is ready to come on at any moment, any time, and I may have him come on tomorrow. Not sure, but yeah, yeah, I know, right? I've been trying. Yeah, believe me, my probes are out to try to get Bob, man, and I hope it would. I think if it did come, it would definitely come through Jim, and but Jim isn't doesn't speak for Bob. However, he's probably the closest guy that you would know, friend wise, to Bob for sure. So let me see. Blah, 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 blah. Let me see what else we're doing here. Okay. What's up, man? Etiquette. Thanks for coming. So we're looking at. All right. I had Jonathan Dover, Stanley Milford. Okay. We had Suzanne Hanson. We had Misha Johnson. These were all listed on the web on Facebook. We had Lee B. Wild Trees. So if anybody, whoever knows who that is. Um, Yeah, Mike Jones. Thanks. Which show you talking about the After Hours, the one we just did, or Mike Jones said that last show was off the hook. I'm talking y'all went down the rabbit hole. Yeah, you mean the NDE conversation? That was definitely yeah. Lee B. Wild Trees. I never heard of Lee B, but someone did put that in the comment section. We also have Zaysan Saldusky. if anyone's familiar. I guess it's the Plagiarin's Diaries book writer. Then we had Katie Page, obviously, which, you know, Katie Page has been on SOR. We had Hoodoo Tall, and Hoodoo Tall has been on SOR as well. We have Steve Stockton. I was like, man, you know what? I don't think I've seen a lot of Steve Stockton interviews. That might be a good one to consider. We had Sasquatch Island. We had Awakening Cosmic Reality Show. We had Bob Dahl, Decaffeinated Cryptid. And a lot of these people I haven't heard of. So you can fill me in if you know more. Melissa Morgan, Destination Mystery. We had Dave's good friend Samantha Mowat. We had a Mike Cleland. We had obviously David Grush. Love to get David Grush on for sure. We had a David Wilcox. We had a Debbie Ziegelmeyer. Lauren Coleman. We had Steve Cambion from Truth Seekers. I don't know what people think about that, but maybe we can get something set up with Steve Cambion. I know he comes by the chat. David Mason. And I think David Mason is actually I know someone who knows him so personally, so that one might be a go. We had Earl Grey Anderson, who someone just put in here, Heidi Pop, and then Kevin Day. Yeah, the same person that I know that knows David Mason also knows Kevin Day. So let me put Kevin Day on here. But you know, Kevin Day, this stuff has been his experience with this hasn't been great. You know what I mean? As far as emotionally, it hasn't been kind to him, which is unfortunate, you know, because he really seems like a really good guy, and he was really affected on you know, behind the stigma and the ridicule and all those factors that it really got to him. And I know one of the last interviews I saw him do on this topic, it really touched him. And you know, I don't want to further where he's at with this. I know he's doing a lot of stuff outside of this topic, so he doesn't really deal with this much. However, it would be a great conversation. But yeah, okay, Kevin's a gold miner now. Yeah, I mean, it's a shame, man, because you got to figure. I mean, this he was the radar operator on the Nimitz, so you know he knows it. Like, and his government put him through, which is my government too. You know, put him through so much stuff behind this. The people he worked with, his senior officers, wasn't pretty for him, man. You think everybody comes out of this okay, and it's not the truth. It's not the truth. Yeah, Tamonth, man, I think it's because, let me bring up that question. He says, Lazar Grush, people in the know. People are supposedly in the know. Why won't they be interviewed? I think they will be. They just pick and choose where they want to be. And that's another part of this here. You know, if they feel like their interview won't get enough views on a particular outlet, then maybe that's why they make the decision. Yeah, prospecting for gold. Yeah, I know he was doing something totally different tomorrow, man, as far as Kevin Day goes. I know he was just totally disconnected from this topic. And that's why I was shocked to see him interview. Because during that talk, he interviewed with someone in the UK, and it didn't hold up that well. Yeah. So some of us don't like the attention. So I guess that's yeah. I have my co-host who used to be on here with me, my good friend Mateo had done some work with Dave Mason, and they built a cosmic watch. If you ever go back and watch the episode I have on Skywatching 2.0, I think that's where they got the cosmic. Oh, yeah, I think 2.0 is where they did the cosmic watch, which is pretty awesome. If you understood what it did, I wouldn't do it any justice trying to explain what it does. But it's a muon detector essentially, and if it goes off, then there's a chance that if you go out and look up, that you may see a UFO. It's more technical than that. Oh shoot! Okay, big dog. Thanks for coming in, big dog. 5758. It's what we normally do here. This is the late night calling show. So this is right after hours of Spaced Out Radio, and a lot of times we'll carry the conversation from that show over to here, or we'll just kick up brand new conversations. We have links in the posted in the chat where you're able to come up on stage if you have something to talk about and you want to join the discussion. We also have a call in line, which is 856-843-3444 or 856 the-DIGG. So generally, we'll have a bunch of people on stage talking about experiences or various topics. And we do this every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, 11:15 p.m. Pacific. And we sometimes run 4 hours. We've gone 4 hours here before. So definitely a place to come and talk and get it off your chest for sure. And let me see. And thanks for joining the chat, because I know we have some lurkers out there that sometimes don't get in the chat. But I appreciate you coming in and speaking up. Thank you. Yeah, so yeah, it's crazy how they do this subject though, because Kevin Day was one of the original guys. He saw these things that Fravor talks about on radar, and yeah. If we could get the word out, we should have a packed house. I would say so, because the whole thing is that I felt like and still feel like, but we know it's a difficult process to have experiencers open up about their experiences. And some people just have held it in their whole life. They have never felt comfortable enough to step out and tell anyone about things that they've experienced. However, especially if you look at it where you're in a public space like we're at now, and so the stigma and the fear of ridicule is there. But what I want to let anybody and everybody know who hasn't already spoken about their experiences, this is not a place where you're going to get any of that. So the only thing we have here are people who are open minded, who are all trying to find answers on the things that we talk about. There are no know it alls here. That's definitely not what it is. And we're just humans, right? This is humanity. We're trying to figure this thing out as humanity. Oh, Maggie M10, thanks for coming in. A bit under the weather, but you're listening. Thank you for coming, Maggie M10. And yeah, we just do this for humanity. So generally, my guy, Area 51, is usually the guy that gets the party started. Sometimes it takes a little time for people to get comfortable before they go ahead and come in. But we're not going to pressure anyone, except for Derek Galloway. If he shows up tonight, make sure you let that guy know that the pressure is on, buddy. But for everybody else, it's open space. More than welcome to kick back, sit and listen, and we'll just get to talking about a bunch of stuff. Yeah, Neil Warden, I know a lot of nothing about everything. Yeah. That's pretty much what we all know. And that's why I say it shouldn't be afraid to join the conversation. And let me check something here. Let's see. Okay, let's see here. All right. All right. I'm going to set some things up for future shows here. Yeah, you're right, big dog. Um, this is kind of the point and kind of why we're here, right? At the end of the day, agree or disagree, we are all human and here together, live together or die alone. And that's actually a great statement to make because that's kind of the sentiment that we talk here about, right? It's all about humanity here, the conversations that progress humanity that get us to that next stage because the whole thing with it is that the conversations have to happen. So in going back to these experiences, I talked earlier a few weeks back about how it does no good holding your experience in because when you look at it and you look at the totality of ufology, and I guess we'll just say ufology, it's looked at as a minority in as far as globally when you look at it, and technically in its current state it is, but that ends up going back to you know unreported sightings, people who just haven't come forward for whatever fear that they may have, whether it's just the ridicule, the stigma of their immediate group around them, or if they're more afraid of just the bigger stigma from the general public. And either way it goes, the conversation should be easier to be had now that we have so many things going on in relation to it, so many admissions. And then when you come to a place like this or over at Spaced Out Radio, where you look around and you see that a lot of other people have experienced the same type of thing that you have. And so once people start letting it off their chest and kind of saying what they saw, regardless on, don't worry about what people will think it was. If it was weird and unexplainable to you, then it's something that should be added to the conversation. Don't be afraid to let people look at it. And, sometimes what you saw may be explained as something else. It may make total sense that that's what it might have been. And you kind of get to at least free yourself from the not being sure of what that was, because or the whole flip side of that is that could be something that a lot of people have seen, or that someone else saw but wasn't really sure, and then you coming forward to talk about your sighting gives them the confidence to do the same with theirs. And then there's another two experiences that get added to the overall database of information that we're all going to need as humanity to really look and paint the full picture and kind of look at the whole thing. And that's the mission. That is, it seems like it's a tough, long road to get down to where we're trying to get to, but it really isn't, because, the more we have the conversation, the more that we even out. So once we leave here, right, we have the conversation here with a lot of other people who are familiar with these types of conversations. But then we step outside and we want those conversations to happen with people out there, people who didn't know that these conversations were being had on these platforms like this. You know what I mean? And let me go back here because there's some good stuff being said here. Um, okay, Shrat. I'll add Shrat to the list for sure. Um, I just saw something here. Okay, Decipher. Rob, seeing UFOs and maybe an alien is hard enough for people to grasp. Tell them you were taken to another planet, watch their face. Okay, I know. That's a fact, right? That's a fact. But it should be put on record. And here's the thing, and here's why I agree with that. I agree with that. I agree with that, having that conversation with someone who is completely new to this and is just found out or just becoming aware that maybe something there's something to this. Yeah, that's probably a deep conversation to have with them, someone on the outside. And essentially you even though it's definitely, see, I think you have to take the onion approach with it, right? So you just peel back layers at a time. So maybe you just tell them, maybe you start off, and this, like, here is a safe place. So you can say whatever you want here. You can tell the full story. But when you out there in the world where you have skeptics and people that you want to try to bring in or try to at least come in and hear the conversation, you kind of take the onion approach where you just peel a small layer back. You show them, yeah, okay, we're seeing UFOs and potentially there's aliens behind it. Okay, that's enough to bring them in. And once they start coming in and they come to the realization, like, wow, okay, yeah, people are seeing aliens or UFOs, and they don't seem to be man-made by any stretch of imagination. So the common denominator means they would have to most likely be related to aliens. Then once they made that revelation, then you peel back another layer and say, well, yeah, I've actually been taken to another planet as well. Right? And that's kind of how you got to bring them in. You kind of have to, those people from the outside, that's how you have to bring them in. Mike Jones, who was the guest you was talking about having the same lucid dream? Oh, the guest we had was Eugene Braxton, and the experience that we were talking about with the same lucid dream, that was my dream that I've had over and over again, going to the same place. JSCO77, you want citing testimonials, Rob? I mean, essentially, we just have to make people understand. Like, someone comes across this call-in show that is on the fence about even understanding. Like, there may be, sometimes we don't have everyone that's showing in chat isn't everyone that's listening in, and so, maybe we have someone who this has been in the back of their mind. They haven't had any experiences, though they're curious on looking into it and seeing, what other people are saying about it. And, I think them hearing experiences, first of all, sometimes you can tell just by the way a person speaks, there's a level of believability in how they're saying it, even though that doesn't really mean anything. But a lot of people get comfort in hearing someone's story because they're like, man, that person really sounds like they went through that, and it becomes real for them as well. So I think it just helps. I think it helps the overall understanding for, the ones that aren't already in this to know that, man, there's some strange stuff going on that it most likely isn't from here. Um, Let me see. Okay, big dog. For me, it's about experiencing it for myself. If I wouldn't have seen an object do a figure eight, I wouldn't have believed it for myself on Melinda Leslie's tours. Okay, okay. So you've been on one of Melinda's tours. Yeah, I mean, and if that was your first experience, then congratulations for one, because now you can now you are, because you have experienced it, then you have, I'm not going to say a responsibility, but you have the ability to pass that on, and not only pass on your story, because to a lot of people it's just going to be a story, but you have recommendations for them on how they can actually experience the same thing you did, which would be going on a Melinda Leslie tour, or going to a hot spot with the right equipment, right, and um, having your experience. So we talked about that just last week. I want to say here about those who haven't had experiences and who want to have experiences, and then how can you make that possible? How can you actually have one? And we talked about how you could go get a Cyanix camera for $400, and if you ask a lot of people out there who are using Cyanix cameras, they see things more often than not with those. And so, it's about spreading the word. Like, if you had a Cyanix camera of your own, right, and you took out a group of people who were friends of yours who just didn't believe this thing was real, and you were able to take them to a spot with your science camera, show them for yourself themselves that there are these weird things, and then now they're like, wow, okay, now they're open to the conversation. See, that's kind of what we have to do, but we have to do that on a larger scale. So we have to get, I would recommend, truthfully, because like I said, I've had a sighting, but I would love to have another one. But they're not obviously the cheapest things in the world, so maybe I'll get one for Christmas. But I would recommend that anyone that has the ability to get one should get one. I would recommend that, because out of, next to CE5, which people claim, which could be true, but I just, haven't had that happen in my presence where someone was able to summon up a UFO or to get a UFO's attention through CE5. But the next closest thing would be just to have a camera pointed at the sky. And it seems like, for whatever reason, in that spectrum, these things are coming up and are, pretty frequent. And if you look at my sighting, as many as UFOs as were in my sighting alone, like, like, if you saw that many, or I saw that many at one time in one area, just right here in over the sky where I'm at now, then you can imagine the total of how many are just out there across the board. And then maybe we'll look into some of that, because I had done a video on that here on this channel, which was the first one was the white orbs, the white spheres. I think it was like episode 30 or 31. Then followed that one up with the MUFON video that we did here. Both of those videos show what these white things are in the sky, and not just that they're in the sky, but they're, a lot of times, they're in the daytime, and that they are so common that they are happening in different places all over the world, that there's a great chance that you would be able to see one of these things, to catch one of these on camera. And they're not usually by themselves. They're always usually in groups, big, large groups. And, you know, those things are definitely out there. We just need to open more eyes. Yeah, JSCO, anytime. Anytime you're ready, you can jump in and enlighten our audience here. Anytime. You can go through the StreamYard link or call in the call in number, either one. Let me just make sure we got all that stuff up. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Definitely deep conversation, Mike Jones. I knew it would be. Yeah, there's well, the Destiny. I'll tell you what. What I will say is that you know within this, you try to tiptoe around religion because you are speaking to the world, right? So the message that we promote needs to be heard by everyone in the world, and some will shut the conversation down pretty quick once it ties into religion or it has religious implications. Just some people are just they just stop listening, right? So that's why the whole thing is here, that there isn't a religious line push. That doesn't mean that I'm not religious. It's just that that part of it isn't important for people to know, because we can have the conversation without applying religion to it. We can dance around it so that you obviously know what's being said, but you know, I think it's important to have a conversation that affects the globe, that it's had in a way that every single person, like, there's not a reason for every single person not to listen or not to, so I don't want to exclude anyone. And not saying that that's what you're saying, but just, I know, because in our conversation, I know we touched on religion, which I don't have a problem with doing. It's just that I think in order to be middle of the road and have the conversation comfortably, that we try to find a way to have it without, just like getting your point across without using cuss words, right? Like, you can say the same thing even though you're just more passionate and it feels more well put together when you add a few choice cuss words in there, and it just lines up really, and it's funny and everybody laughs, right? But you can say the exact same thing um, without offending anyone, right? And I think that's kind of what it is. So let me start real quick. So we do have someone that has joined the back. It is our great friend, Mr. JSCO77, and I am bringing you to the stage, sir. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Rob. How about you?
Doing awesome, doing awesome. Every time I hear you talk, I think of Derek Galloway saying the voice of the
I
gods,
don't know why
right?
that guy says that. Don't know why he says it.
He
As long as he
does.
spells it with a little G, I'm cool with it. No problem. And I heard what you said a while ago. I appreciate you inviting me in. I really do. And
Yeah,
I
that
hope
anytime.
it's an opportunity for me to tell a story that I've never really told. I mentioned it one night I was on with Dave briefly after he had finished his show.
Okay.
And we hit on things a little bit lightly about this story. But this took place in 1963. Okay. 1963, you got to understand that it was a different time, obviously, than what we live in now. 1963, when you left your house, you didn't bother locking your doors. You didn't bother with that. When you got downtown, you didn't bother locking your car. You could have everything that you've gone out and bought in town that day in your car, leave it open, just forget about it. Nobody was going to bother it. There was a bit of innocence that was around at that time that really isn't, seems almost like it's almost not in the world anymore. But this happened to me and three friends of mine. Me and three friends of mine. 1963, I had just turned 15 years old and gotten my driver's license. And what a deal that was, man, to get my driver's license. My dad was letting me use his car when I take my girl out on Friday night. And I always picked her up, and I'm going to go into some details because these things become important later on. But I always picked my girl up at 7 o'clock. That was as early as I could get her parents to let me pick her up. And I had to have her home 10 o'clock sharp. Okay. And she was 15, same as I was at that time. Listen, red hair, braces on her teeth, freckles. And I loved her to death. She was wonderful. She was something else. Hold on. Kick back and relax a little bit so I can do a better job on this. But I had a friend of mine who we grew up together. He lived three doors to the west of me. And his name was Buster. Buster's gone now. But I called him Buck. And so Buck and I, we had a double date on a Friday night. I know I picked Jennifer up at 7 because that was the earliest I could get her out, and I was always on time to pick her up. I wanted to spend every minute with her that I possibly could. Buck's girl lived just a little ways away from where my girlfriend lived, and we picked them up. And from there, we went straight to a local drive-in hamburger restaurant, like they used to have, where people would come out and wait on you, and it was a cool thing where all the kids hung out in this same place. Buck and I had known these girls for a while. And it being a Friday night, I had done my due diligence and I had found a new parking spot. Are you familiar with the term parking?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'd found a new parking spot out on the western edge of town. And we ate a burger. And I'm going to say that we were at our new parking spot by no later than say 8:30 in that range. And when I pulled into the place, I wheeled around to the right behind some bushes and some trees so that the car couldn't be seen from the road. And the nose of the car was basically pointed east. Well, Buster and his girl weren't paying any attention to anything but themselves. But Jennifer had her head on my shoulder, and I'm sitting looking out the windshield. I'm looking east. And on the horizon, I saw come up through the trees. It was spring of that year before all the leaves got on the trees. And the way I know that is because I could see the first object as it cleared the horizon through the trees. And it looked like a full moon rising. It had all the colors, had all the beautiful reds and golds. And as it got higher in the air, it started changing colors just like a full moon does when it rises. Well, except it was happening quite a bit quicker than a full moon would. And I also knew that there wasn't a full moon. I'd had a telescope since I was like 8 years old, and I kept up with the phases of the moon back in those days. So I watched the first object come up. Then all of a sudden, I got to see a second full moon rise, and then a third. The third one was a little further behind the second one than the second one was from the first, but basically in a straight line, except the third was just offset to the left a little bit. As they climbed up into the sky, the first object began to clear the tree line. Here in Mississippi, where I'm from, it's heavily wooded. And as it cleared the tree line, the first object, I excused myself out of the car to go out and bio outside the car, of course. I went out and walked away about 15 yards from the car and I stopped. And I'm watching these things coming up into the sky, and the whole time they're getting brighter and brighter, and they're changing colors from that beautiful red gold of a full moon to closer to white with gold highlights. And when they all three cleared the tree line, they were amazing to look at in the night sky. At that point, they completely dominated the night sky. And I called out to my friend Buck, and I said, Buck, come here. I want to show you something. Well, Buck, you got to see Buck, 1963, oily, curly hair, combed back in ducktails, collar turned up. He was a tough guy for 1963, but he was out of the car like a deer. And by the time he got about halfway to me, the girls saw these objects, okay? They completely, totally panicked. I'm talking about screaming, crying, take us home, take us home, take us home. And I still have some guilt over that these days. But the thing about it is I was seeing what I called at the time flying saucers for the first time in my life. I didn't want to leave. And I spoke to Jennifer and I said, Jennifer, just relax. Everything's okay. If anything starts to happen that's out of the ordinary, I'll be in the car in 5 seconds and we'll be gone. Okay. So the reason why they were screaming and crying is that these objects at their closest point to us were like 80% the size of a big full moon in the night sky. And there was 3 of them. They had gold rings all the way around the outside perimeter of them. The brightest, most beautiful gold I've ever seen in my life. It looked like molten gold. Okay. But supercharged. It was lit up. And just inside these gold rings was a surface. These craft, by the way, I better explain this first. They were flying at Piper Cub speed, crop duster speed. They were not fast. In fact, they looked like to me that they should just fall out of the sky. I had to check at first to be sure that they were in fact moving. And I could see stars go out as they, as the craft moved forward, would cover a star and then the star would reappear behind them. And they sped up a little bit. But the surface of these crafts, it probably maybe 1,500 feet. And like I say, 80% the size of a big full moon. The surface inside the gold ring was kind of a silverish white. And it got brighter and brighter toward the center. Got brighter towards the center until at the center was an object that looked like Jupiter, say, on a really bright night. Not as bright as Venus, but as bright when it's in the western sky, but as bright as Jupiter on a bright night. And it was slowly undulating and turning, and every so often it would twinkle. There was no flashing lights on it. They made no sound. Very slow in the night sky. And about that time, I heard one of the girls say, "What is that?" I couldn't tell which one it was. The other one said it's a dog, and the first one said it's not a dog. And they went quiet. Well, I'm looking at the car. And at that time in my life, I had 20/20 plus vision. And I could see like an owl in the night. There was nothing around that car that I could see. But what's that? It's a dog. No, it's not a dog. And they went quiet. Well, I turned back to looking at the objects. From time to time, I would hear a little something out of them, commotion, little soft voices, whispers, but nothing else out of the ordinary. But we watched these craft fly. They flew almost directly over us. We had a bird's eye view, and they were absolutely gorgeous. To look at them, they were very soothing to look at. For me, they were soothing. They almost beckoned to you to look at them. And Buck and I watched them, and when they got just a little bit beyond straight overhead, the third object in this lazy L formation, the third object appeared, the light within it appeared to shift side to side. And at that instant, it changed direction. It wasn't one of these 90-degree angle high-speed turns that you hear so much about, but they were traveling so slow. It was just that the light wobbled, shifted inside of the craft, and it was headed west. These things were flying from northeast to southwest. And when it changed directions, the third one, it went off into the west. We watched them until they flew out of sight. And I know Buck dreaded the car as much as I did. And I felt like a dog already. When we got to the car, I opened the door and I stepped into the car asking a question. I stepped in it and I said, I heard y'all say you saw a dog. We didn't see no dog. There wasn't no dog. We didn't see a dog. Scolding me, and I said, well, I said, no dog, huh? And they said, no dog. And the girl in the back seat said these words: we were kidnapped. And my girl turned to her and really scolded her pretty hard, just shushed her in a big way, looked up at me and shook her head, said, we weren't kidnapped. Well, I'd known her for a good long time. We were awful tight. And when she told me something, I believed her. Okay.
Yeah.
But they wanted to go. Of course, they've been waiting to go. And I cranked the car. Well, when I cranked the car, my girl immediately said, look what time it is. And it was like 7 minutes till 10. No way I'm going to make her house in 7 minutes. So I knew she was going to be late. And she was upset. And I was upset. And they were already upset. And over the years, I've thought about it. In that moment, being all caught up in it, Rob, I remember just kind of blowing it off that time had passed and that it was 7 minutes till 10 o'clock. I just blew it off. I didn't think anything of it. I mean, Barney and Betty Hill had happened 2 years before that, but I'm not even sure I'd heard of them at that point in time. I'm not even sure. And I don't know if Buck's girlfriend had. Maybe she had. Maybe that's where the word kidnapped came from. People didn't use words like abduction back in those days. Right. We were kidnapped. And my girl shushed her really hard. But we lit out for her house, for my girl's house. And we arrived there a little bit after 10. She was straight out of the car. She didn't even say goodnight. And up to the door and inside she went. So that was a Friday night. Monday morning, it was 9th grade, Monday morning at junior high school. I came out into a brightly lit hallway. And there was a guy there that I knew, and I was busting at the seams to tell somebody about this. I went over to my friend and I started telling him. My voice carries like a rocket. And before I knew it, there was a crowd of people around us. And I was telling them what we had seen. Now check this out. It was Monday morning, ninth grade at junior high school. Up comes this kid into the crowd. My daddy and I saw them. My dad and I saw them. Up in North Laurel, we saw them. And they were not flying saucers. And we're not supposed to be talking about this. My dad said, we're not supposed to be talking about this. And he hightailed it, and everybody scattered like a covey of quail. Think about that a minute. Somebody, somewhere, had already come out and told his son, you be on the watch for anybody talking about this. And if you hear anybody talking about it, I think maybe his dad had something to do with civil defense, something like that. And so he, if you see anybody talking about it, shut the conversation down. Tell them I said they're not supposed to be talking about it. They weren't flying saucers, and then we saw them. And the kid runs off. I didn't even know who the kid was. A couple of days later, the same scenario pops up. I'm talking to somebody about it. Crowd of people gather up. Up runs this kid. My dad and I saw it. Was not flying saucers, and we're not supposed to be talking about this. Y'all go to class. I tried to hail him down, but he wouldn't stop. He ran off. Well, there's an odd side to this. I admired Dave for his being willing to talk about his regression, okay? I've never experienced a regression. But looking back across all of this, it's something at this point in my life I would do. If I could find somebody that I felt like I could really trust to do that, I would have it done. Right after that, my girl moved away about 100 miles to the south of me down here, and her dad had gotten a new job. He was going to be making $12,000 a year. That was so much money back then. It was a lot of money, $12,000 a year.
Right.
Shucks, he went down, moved, bought a new home, moved them in. Of course, my girl and I kept up with one another, and I'd go down and see her when I could. I had to hitchhike. Cause my dad, he wasn't going to have anything to do with me going off to see her, because she had written me and told me she was pregnant. Well, she was a virgin. Know that for a fact. The last time I saw her, she was a virgin. Now, we had had some intimate, very close proximity, okay, to one another. And things can happen even with close proximity. We all know that, okay? But she was pregnant. Well, I left home. I moved to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where my sister was. And I was running back and forth from Baton Rouge to go see my girl on the Gulf Coast and trying to keep up what was going on in between being threatened to be killed by her dad, among many other things that went on, but I'm not going to bore you with those details. But about 3 months passed. She wrote me a letter and told me she had lost the baby. When do they take babies, Ron?
Yeah, during.
And so I don't know. It's all very dramatic. It's all very dramatic and heartrending. It really was at the time. But with all that being said, looking back over it, I picked her up at 7. We were at the hamburger joint by 7:30. By 8 o'clock, we were in the woods. By 8:20, 8:30 at the latest, I was out of the car. How long does it take, Rob, an airplane traveling 60 miles an hour which is what I figured they were flying. Like Piper Cub speed, top end on one was 78 miles an hour. How long does it take one to fly from above the tree line to the other tree line across the sky?
Yeah,
Doing,
not long at all.
doing 60 miles an hour. I mean, at 1,500 feet, it couldn't have been over 8 or 10 minutes
At all, right?
at the most. So if I'm out of the car, absolutely no later than 8:45.
Right.
Absolutely no later.
Yeah.
And I get back in the car and it's 7 minutes till 10. Where did the time go?
Exactly.
I don't know. But at any rate, I might, I've thought seriously about being regressed. I almost want to tap on the end of it if that really works, but apparently it does. But certainly if I could find someone that I could trust to do it, I would
Yeah.
almost do that at this point. Just to
Yeah. Who
know.
did Dave use?
Pardon me?
Who did Dave use? Do you recall?
Yeah. Trying to think of her name. Comes on once a month.
It,
Beautiful brunette.
oh man, and yeah, and someone in the audience might.
Shame that I can't think of her name. I've just got a mental block on it. I know her name.
Me too.
I can't think of it.
Yeah. So would you use her?
She wouldn't be available. See, I'm disabled at home. I can't travel long distances in a car, and I can't fly. So
Oh, okay.
it's going to be a trick. Geraldine Roscoe. Thank you,
Okay.
Angels. Geraldine
Okay.
Roscoe. Yeah. But I mean, if I could travel like I want to, I'd love to come to Reno this year and be with you guys out there. That would be a lot of fun. I feel like I've made some good friends
Oh yeah.
in this group of people. Or you can trust me one thing. I wouldn't go out and just tell anybody this story. This is the first group of people outside of my family I've ever told this story to.
That's awesome.
And that was 63. Long, long time ago. And I was, so too, I got drafted in 69. And I had done my testing. And when I got drafted, I went into the Air Force. I was stationed, I think, about Deb at SAC. I've always picked at her and said, Deb from Strategic Air Command, although I know it's Sacramento, but I was stationed at a SAC base. And I have seen all manner of aircraft, a lot of them classified, and been around all kind of landing lights, everything, and that you would just about imagine flying. I've seen some unusual things, been around some exciting aircraft, but I've never seen anything like that
Right.
with the big gold ring, the planet in the middle. I mean, the air just lit up around these things. They were incredible to see. They really were.
And I'm
But
with you.
that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
There. That's it. That's it. And I appreciate you giving that to us. Because, like I say, I saw some weird stuff too, and so there isn't any moment of that I don't feel is authentic. Like I truly believe what I'm trying to picture what you saw. I just picture these white spheres with the gold ring around it with the pulsating red in the middle. So
If I didn't say these were saucer shaped. They were
yeah,
clearly perfectly round, all three of them exactly the same size, and appeared to be exactly alike. At least to me, standing out there in the dark at 1,500 feet. But they were lit up. Now, I was in the dark, as I say. There wasn't really very much light pollution at that time, 63. There were still incandescent bulbs in the street lights.
right.
Okay. But they were lit up. The gold, Rob, was like the very brightest part of an aurora. You ever looked at videos of auroras?
Yes.
Very bright, very, very bright, and charged, supercharged. They were really lit. Well, I'll run along and I'll let you get on with it. Maybe somebody else want to come on and tell their story. For
That's
me,
right.
there's nothing that I love better with everything that's going on in the world out there today. There's nothing that I love better than a good UFO story, which is why I think I like Michael Schratt so much. You know,
Definitely.
that's what he does is he tells UFO stories. So thank y'all so much.
Thank you, JSCO77. I really appreciate it. You do have a fantastic voice, and I would definitely love to hear from you again. So
Thank you, bro.
please don't be a stranger.
No problem. Good night to y'all.
All right, take care. Yeah, guys, JSCO77. Appreciate him coming in. This was awesome. Looks like we have somebody calling in right now. And let's see who we got here.
Call from
Area 51.
Okay,
to
okay.
accept, press
My
1.
God.
To send a voicemail, press 2.
Area 51.
Howdy.
Howdy do, man. How you doing? How you been?
Doing well, doing well.
Good, 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 good. Glad to have you here, man. I didn't see you earlier, man, at the after hours.
Yeah, I came in late. I was watching Formula One.
Ah, okay.
Had a side bit going on with one of my friends.
Hey, did you win?
Yeah.
Okay, that's lovely. So did you catch Mr. Eugene Braxton on there giving us all that NDE gold?
I did not. I'm going to have to catch it tomorrow morning.
Yeah, great
So,
conversation.
later on in the morning. Yeah, bro. So I wanted to come on really quick just because the story that I call him Josco 77. I don't know if that's how he goes by or if he goes just by JSCO 77.
Okay. That could be either way,
But
yeah.
he explained what he saw in the sky, and I have a picture, but I don't know how to send it to you. And I just want to know if this is what he saw.
Yeah, you can email it to me. That'd be the easiest way. So MrRobG@gmail, and then I can bring it right up.
Yeah, let me send it to you really quick. How you been?
Man, I've been hanging in there, man. Awesome show tonight, and it's an awesome show here tonight too, man. So I'm feeling good, man. Appreciate you asking.
And you said it was Mr. Rob G?
Yeah, MisterRobGee @gmail.
All right.
And I'm bringing it up right on my mail. Yeah, so man, yeah, so you might have a picture of what this looked like, so that's awesome. Let's see what it looks like.
Being slow.
Yeah, it's good. Take your time.
Okay, I just sent it.
All right.
Yeah, I just wanted to give other people a chance to talk. I just wanted to see if this is what he saw.
Yeah, for sure. I'm refreshing right now. Okay, I think I got it. Let me try to open it. Download that.
Yeah, I've had this picture since back in May, I want to say.
All right, I blew it up. So let me. How can I do this? Yeah, it won't. Okay, hold on. All right, here we go. Now present, share screen, window, and we're doing that here. All right, so I got it up here. Let me bring it forward. All right. So JSCO, if you're out there still, this is image one. Area 51 is brought up. He wants to know if the saucer you saw looked like this in any way. So he says,
Yes.
"Yep." Okay.
Yep.
So explain
Okay.
where you got this one, or what was this something you
Yeah,
took?
so this is funny. No, this is nothing that I took. I had to go down to dig for this. I know it was circulating, I think on Twitter or Reddit. I can't remember where I got it. I think it might have been Reddit. But a while back, I don't know if you remember, but I think James Fox came on Joe Rogan and he told a story about how Logan Paul, um, that this guy had um,
Yes.
do you remember there was like a video
Yes.
that this guy had
It
of
was
these kids?
Chuck Brown, I think is his name. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
from Area 51. Yeah.
yeah. So this is supposedly the stills, some of the stills from the bottom of the UFO that they captured on the video. But
Oh.
I couldn't find the video. Supposedly it's floating out there, but I don't believe it. But these are the stills. This is all I could find.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, I'm putting the dots together. Yeah. Okay, so this is potentially clips or little frames from the video that he had.
Right.
Okay,
And this is
okay.
shot from I guess they were shooting it from the bottom, looking at the belly of the UFO.
Yeah, that is awesome, man. Good find,
So
good
when
find.
so when he was talking about what he saw, I immediately could just picture that's exactly what the picture looks like. And I'm not sure if Jasco 77 has seen this, but I know I've shown it to Tim Mothman.
Yeah, he says, yep. He says it looked like that at first, but changed to brighter
Oh yeah.
colors later. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he's totally with that, man. That's awesome, dude. Look, man, I appreciate that. That's connecting.
Yeah.
That's what this is for, man. So he had the story, he had the description. Juan hears that, it clicks in his mind. He goes, grabs some data, brings that to the table. It's confirmed. And see if we have more of that, man. That's beautiful. I'm glad that you did that,
Yeah.
Juan. I appreciate that.
Hey, for sure, man. I'm gonna step out and just keep listening to the show. I
Yes,
just wanted
sir.
to share that with you guys, and then
Appreciate you doing that.
get some people up here,
Oh, yes, sir. Man, have a good one.
and
And
then I'll be listening.
thanks for the
Yeah,
contribution, man.
definitely.
Thank you.
Of course. I'll be listening.
All right.
All right, thanks.
And Area 51 came through. See, that's how it's supposed to work, man. Just like that. Just like that. That's how we get it going. That's how we get this thing moving. Just like that. From someone coming up with their story, telling their story, which by the way hasn't been told to anyone outside of the family, which was another part of that. There's a lot of that going on. There's a lot of people who just haven't got the courage to step outside of haven't got the courage to step outside their immediate circle and kind of give the information or release the information to the public. So that all played really well, and I really appreciate it. And let me see. Okay. Yep. Yep. Definitely. Okay. All right. Okay. Got it. All right. So yeah. So man, that couldn't have went any better, man. I really appreciate that. That's how it should go. Hopefully, we get a lot more of that because like I said, we were saying earlier before we got our guests to come on here that it's been hard for a lot of people. I've heard stories of how it affects people you know, on the outside, like I'll say me because I've had experience, and I just openly talk about it and have put it out there. But then you kind of have to reel back a little bit and realize that it's not actually that easy for everyone else to do it. So you know, and the expectation shouldn't be automatically for that to happen. And I do understand that, and I'm coming from a place where I just want this to be a comfortable place for people to do this. You know what I mean? And that's kind of hopefully over time, more and more people get the courage to go ahead and come out and actually do that. And then Juan just put the cherry on top by, you know, we had the visual from the way Mr. JSCO 77 just brought the story. I saw it in my mind, and I guess that was the same thing for Juan because it was enough for him to trigger something that he had seen previously, which is what we're looking at here on the screen. So, yeah, awesome. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. And Gene, yeah, there were a lot of people who had came over who wanted you to kind of speak more on the NDE thing, you know, continuing the after hours conversation. So just so you know, that is open for you as well. So if you end up feeling like doing that, click the link in the chat, and then you will be able to do just that. Uh, and we do have Mr. Magneticus Attractus stepping in, and this is um, the guy who's going to build us the time machine right here. Is just stepped in the building. Flux, he said he's going to send me a watch, and that'll be the time machine. But we want an actual time machine, Magneticus, with the flux capacitor and
What's wrong,
everything,
button? Hold on.
just like on Back to the
Now I
Future.
can hear you.
Oh no! So I was just saying,
Back to the
if you
future.
couldn't hear me,
Well, no,
saying
I had to change my settings because I was on the headphones, and when I'm on the headphones, people can't hear me. And then if I go to speakerphone, I'm either too loud, so I can always turn my volume down if I'm too loud. But
yeah, I
there's
was
nothing
saying
worse than
this is the guy that's gonna build us the time machine. And I was like, oh, but all he's gonna do is send me a watch. So let me go ahead and say that again. This is
cosmic
the guy
watch.
that's
I'm gonna
gonna.
send you a cosmic watch, an astroskeleton clock. You ever
This
seen
guy
one of
right
those?
here is gonna build. No, what is it?
You've never seen an astroskeleton clock?
No, I haven't,
There is such a
and I
thing, so
love
you
to
should
see.
look it up someday.
So yeah, I'm about to look it up right now. What's it called? Astroskeleton clock.
Astro, like the dog in the
Yeah.
Jetsons, and then skeletal, not skeletor,
Mm-hmm.
skeletal clock. 3 words. Astro skeletal clock.
Okay, I see that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you'll
I've
have
seen
more
these
than just
things.
the hours of the day. You have a lot more than the hours of the day. You have moon positions, you have planetary positions, you have all sorts of positions mapped out on the clock that at different times they should be in these different places. Kind of like
I,
ET doing the thing for Elliot, where he was like making this, like this is their perspective of where Earth is to them. You know what I mean?
I've always wanted one of these, dude. Actually, I'm glad now I know what they're called. I've always
Right?
wanted one.
Don't you hate that when it's like you know what you want, but you don't know what it's called, so you're just like machine heads, you know what I mean? I didn't know that's what those were called on a guitar. It was machine heads, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, that's what those are called. And you know what? You know what sucks is I sit there and ordered 6, and then found out 6 or 3 of them were left and 3 of them were right, and I need them all to be the same. I mean, I can work around it, but it's just the fact that I got to do it 2 different ways, and when you got dyslexia, you might mess up. So,
Yeah, this is awesome, dude. I'm trying to bring up a good example of one. They have a lot of
right.
different ones.
I'm trying to remember who
I like the 4-dimensional ones, like you know what I mean, the ones.
Right.
Yeah, let me
Yeah,
see
where you
if I
got
can
like all
bring.
the other things going around in the background. I mean, there's
Yeah,
all sorts
yeah.
of crazy. Uh, I've seen some crazy machines in my day. I think one of my favorites was Dell's
Something
Wooden
like this.
Nightmare. DELL''S. Wooden Nightmare, I think is what it was called. And it's like a do nothing machine. He just turns one crank on the side of it and like it does all these different mechanical motions just by the one, just by cranking the handle on it.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring up a good image of this here. This right here. Save. I want everybody to see this, but
Right?
now I can't. Let me see. Do image.
Now you can't share your screen.
Yeah,
Oh
no,
yeah.
'cause it won't let me save it as a JPEG. But
Oh, I
let me
see.
see if I do it this
Control
way.
Alt Print Screen. That's all I know with computers.
I got, I got. Oh, see, let me see. Boy, saw that damn DRM stuff, man. Let me see.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I see. I mean, I don't see, but I understand.
Yeah, let me just do it like this. It's not gonna be as grand, but I can at least bring it up because these things
They're way cool.
they are.
Yeah.
All right, so something like this, like that,
Oh,
like
those are
that.
like basic ones. Those are little ones.
Yeah, they
There's
have
like
it's
one of
they
them.
have that one. They have the one that I was talking about, like 4D is something like that.
I'm trying to remember what museum has those clocks. They have like a really big one. I mean, it's big. I'll email it to you, or not email it, but text or whatever to you later. I have the link to it somewhere. They're on my subscribed list somewhere. I
Yeah,
don't know
those
where.
I definitely I still to this day want one of those. I gotta figure out how to get one. You see the prices on those; they're not cheap,
Right?
man. So
No, that's why you start thinking about making one. I'm telling you.
yeah,
And
if
then
you
you
do
got some,
that,
well, I know everybody can build things like I can build things, but I have a lot of people like, oh, you make that look so easy. And I'm like, it is easy. And they're like, no, it's not. And I'm like, okay, whatever. The other day I had
um,
my neighbor asked me if I could fix the stopper in her drain, in her bathtub. And then
yeah.
and I was
Did
like,
you?
yeah, probably, maybe. I have to look at it, see what's wrong with it.
I want to
I
say
told
you
her
were
how
there.
huh?
I want to say you were there right earlier for the conversation. I think I saw you in the chat. I'm sure I
No,
did.
not in after hours. Nuh-uh. Nope.
No.
I was
Okay.
over helping Susie B with her technical challenges. She was
Oh,
trying to
okay.
live stream. She was having a little fireside with Crystal J, I think it was. I can't remember who was all
Oh
there.
man, I didn't get invited to that. Where's my? Oh well, I gotta like, subscribe,
You
and hit the
gotta
notification
click
bell.
on notifications. You gotta click on
Jeez,
notifications. And you know me,
Bing,
Rob.
right?
You know me, Rob. I like the little people better than the big people. So
Man.
yeah.
Well,
So we were hanging
yeah.
out
Okay,
there,
that's
and
my fault. That's my
she
fault
was
then.
she was like walking around with the black light, pointing out scorpions all over the place and stuff.
Oh, I'm
It
going
was
to check
crazy.
that out, man.
Yeah,
Well,
you have to check it
she's
out
not
later.
here. She's not here
Yeah.
because I would show it if she gave us
Oh, her battery
permission.
was dying earlier. That's why.
Maybe we can, if she comes by tomorrow, maybe she'll let us show it. 'Cause I would love to see what Susie B is doing. Yeah, I don't want her
Yeah,
to
I
just
showed her
hang
how
on
to
her
use a
page.
magnifying glass, right?
Yeah.
Because she was like she couldn't put her phone too close to the fire because the phone would get hot and overheat. And so I was like, well, put a magnifying glass by the lens on the camera. And she's like, oh. And she went and got a lens and sure enough, it made the fire look big on the screen because she was talking about how with when we're on our phones, we can't like zoom the camera. We have no control over the camera zoom.
Yeah.
So we can't like, zoom it in is just like whatever it is. And like I was telling her how like last week I was like pointing on the screen, asking if my finger was pointing up because I didn't know which direction you guys could see because I couldn't see the camera or see the screen on the phone because it was pointing down and I was underneath it, So yeah.
Oh man,
So
I hate I missed it, dude. I really do. I really feel some
So
kind
I
of
was
way
on
about
there.
missing it.
She just happened to pop up. I was listening to Dave Scott talk to oh, couldn't tell if it was a guy or a girl on there, but they were talking about oh, I want to say near death experiences, but or out of body astro traveling. That's what they were talking about. Astro
On what
traveling
channel?
on SOR.
Oh yeah. That was
Yeah.
me and Eugene. Eugene was killing it.
Well, no, Dave Scott was like having an interview with somebody. I was watching that. And that's when I seen the notification for Susie B's channel. And I went over and checked it out real quick. And next thing I know, I was on her stream talking about, I don't know what I was talking about. Getting
You
robbed
might
at
have been watching the SOR review, the
Yeah, that's
weekly
what I was
review.
watching. That's what I was watching.
So yeah,
And the
that's
next thing I know, it was like
yeah,
3 hours on Susie B's channel. So,
yeah.
and my phone was doing the
Okay.
same thing. It was yelling at me saying, plug me into a cord because the battery's about dead. So,
Got it. Yeah,
and
what is
now
the
I'm up
name of
to,
her channel so everybody knows?
uh, Um, um, hold on a second. If I disappear, I'll be back. Still there?
Yeah.
Yep. I still hear you, so. Oops. Nope,
What is
nope,
there a
nope.
call
Close
sign
that.
at
Close that.
Susie B or yeah,
I'm
Eugene, post
trying.
that to your Facebook Mystic page for sure.
Oops. No, I did not want to watch her video. I wanted to click on her channel. Oh my goodness. You can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Chat. So you're gonna get this, Rob, and
Yeah.
you can repost it from there.
I gotta start. Where'd you send it
And
to?
I just sent it to the chat on StreamYard
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah.
because I can't like type into Yahoo.
Yeah, I gotta
Yeah,
add some mods, man. You got, you definitely day
yeah. People
one.
are like wanting to play Fight Club in your chat for some reason. I don't know why. It's like,
Well, I
come on,
will.
people. We're trying to be drama free. Like me, I don't really get into religion, but I do mention Bible verses every once in a while. And it's usually because it pertains to building something like Noah's Ark.
Yeah, here's Susie B's channel, guys. So make sure you subscribe to Susie B. Susie B is definitely a supporter of the Social Dig, and I will support her in any way possible. Same
And
thing with Mandanicus.
just so you know, I should have done this, but see after it says Susie B, there's a question mark SI equals.
Hmm.
Everything from that question mark to the end isn't needed. Just so you know, that's the tracking cookie.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so
So it's
so
at Susie B.
even though you just posted that link, anybody that clicks on that link, YouTube is gonna think I referred you.
Okay.
Just so you know.
So let me just do it like this then, because that doesn't
So
have to be there.
yeah, everything from the question mark afterwards can be removed. Yep, exactly like that.
Yeah. Make sure everybody supports Susie B. Susie B.
Go and say,
Yeah.
"What's up?"
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna have to drop in on her live, man. I didn't know she was
You know
doing
that's a
them. So
NASA thing, right? You do know
who?
that's a NASA thing, right?
What? The
Saying what's
tracking?
up, saying what's up,
Oh, is that
what's
right?
up the date. Yeah, just say what's up the date in Google, and they'll take you to somewhere on NASA that happened that date and at NASA. Yep, yep. Just so you know,
The trickery,
the trickery.
the
Did you ever figure out
tomfoolery,
the sheet of money?
the find out. Say that again.
Didn't I send you a picture with $26 on it?
Let me check. I'm looking right now, buddy.
All right, because I said there was an odd one in there. Find the odd one, and it's not the two that are turned upside down.
All right, let me check here, man.
You
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
have to zoom
So,
in, and you have to look at each one, and you'll see one of them is different. A majority of them, if you look at a majority of them on the left side, they all have triple digits in them.
I'm going to share this with.
Yeah,
Let me. Yeah, I gotta email it to myself. Let me see.
right. Oh, how to get it from here to there.
Exactly.
Sometimes not as easy as it sounds. But by working together, we can figure it out.
All right, here we go. So it should be in my inbox. Let me check here. Uh,
I hate trying to email. I don't know how many times I found a message like it just sits there in the queue and will not send for nothing.
all right, here it is. Attachments. JPEG. Let me download that. Open it. Do all the steps. Enlarge it. Get all the bills in here. Okay. All right. So now
Bam.
we can bring it up. Share this window right here. Okay. All right, we got
Boom.
it
Look
up.
at that.
Got it up. So, what are we looking at exactly? Let me see.
I told you. A
Well,
majority.
tell them. Tell them too, because now they can see it.
What the problem is you can't see it because you can't see the serial numbers. The odd one is in the serial number. One of the serial numbers is odd in those $24 that you can see the serial numbers of.
Okay.
I
And
said I said a majority on the left all have triple digits in them.
okay, yes.
And I'm gonna tell you there's one odd one that has four of the same digit in it, but that's not the odd one I'm trying to point out.
Okay, okay.
And then if you look on the right side, you'll actually see some of them are sequential. They're actually like one after the other off the government presses.
I see 2 with 666 in there, which isn't can't be
That's a triple
good.
digit. There's
Okay.
333. I don't know. I could go look at the picture and tell you what one's what. Try the top row, top right corner.
Top right corner. Okay.
Does it start with an H?
No, that's the one that second to the yeah.
So
It's right next to it.
it's middle right, top
Yeah,
middle right.
exactly.
What's the last number of the serial number?
Is it a star or an asterisk?
Yep, you're very good. That's the odd buck in there.
What in the world is that? Let me zoom in now that I know. Let me go back there so everyone else can see it in case they. That's yeah, pretty weird. So let me see. All right, zooming in.
But you gotta go up because it's up above your zoom.
Yeah, it should be right there.
Boom. Yep. That's one of my star notes. I find those every once in a while. If you find one
So
of
what is the
those,
star? What does the star represent?
so
Do you know? Or
if the original bill was damaged for any reason, it a corner got torn off or whatever, you know what I mean? Something happened to the bill that is no longer able to circulate in circulation. They reprint the bill, but it's always printed with the star to represent that this is a reprinted bill. The original one was destroyed, and so yeah. But you'll notice in all those
okay.
pictures, you can't see any of the dates, so I don't have to worry about anybody trying to go into where'sgeorge.com, entering these bills, even though they're still in my possession. You know what I mean? Like I said,
Yeah.
after a year of waiting for somebody else to enter that one bill that you did last week, waited a year. You get what I'm saying? And so I said, just go ahead and say you have it in your possession. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I know where I sent it to. And as far as I know, he didn't ever spend it, or at least the ones I folded up into origami he didn't spend. You know what I mean? So, so I don't know where these ones are. They never showed up in Texas, so we might as well make them show up in Sacramento, Bakersfield.
Yeah,
That's where
exactly.
they showed up. Now they're in Bakersfield.
So that's pretty wild, dude. I had no clue about the star note. That's pretty awesome, actually, man.
And I'm known for making stars with origami, and I always point out the compass and the square and the in the origami. There's a compass and a square. Sometimes I use the G notes, instead of an H note. That's an H note, like Hawaii, but that's not Hawaii. I can't remember all the different presses. They're on the back of a $5 bill. They used to be $10 bill. One of them. It's either the 5 or the 10. If you flipped it over on the back in the real fine print on the top of on the chapter of the building, you can it says the 12 press names. And people sometimes are like, you know, and I always bait people with this trick question about $100 bills. Benjamin Franklin was never president, right?
Right. Exactly.
But all the money has presidents on it except for the $100 bill. Actually, there's 2 bills that weren't president.
Two bills.
Uh-huh. 2 of the bills don't have presidents on them.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the other bill?
Hamilton.
Okay.
And most people don't know who they were. And Benjamin Franklin was head of the Treasury, who makes the bills. And Hamilton was the secretary, I think, if I remember correctly.
That is freaking awesome to know.
That's why you
Just
have the 2
knowledge, man.
signatures. There's 2 signatures on the bottom of the bill. You got the treasurer and the secretary to the treasurer. And then and of course, whichever press it is written right up in the in the left front side and the seal. And then on the back of the $1 bills is both sides of the seal. And there's other things too that I'm not going to point out to you on the air. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could be like if I take my bills that are in series off the press, you know what I mean? I can show you things in those that if you weren't looking for these things, you wouldn't notice these things. And it mainly comes to, you can tell which press plates they're using when they press the money. So, and yeah, but I'm not going to show you where all those are. And what looks like one number might be actually multiple stamps. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome. What? So what do you? What? Tell me you built something new, man. What do you got? Tell me you reassembled something or you did
I
something.
did reassemble it, but yeah, I'll turn on the camera in a second.
What did you? Yeah, I guess
I
we'll
got
see.
everything on blocks. Here, you want to see? Y'all want to see? I know y'all want to see. I'll give you a quick preview, and hopefully I don't almost fall off the ladder like I did during Susie's B show. So I was showing how I got a 6-foot ladder, and it's like literally leaning on the corner of my contraption here, and I got way up here, right? And I'm not gonna do what I did on her show, but I leaned way out here over it.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Yeah, and it started to go that way on me because I'm like leaning on the side of it. But and there I go again. I'm trying to get out there. If I stay out like out here, and I know Derek likes to make fun of me in my flip flops, so I put on my competition orange champions.
Yeah, Derek's a
So
no show tonight. But what did
well,
you? So what did you do? What's the upgrade?
I haven't
What's
upgraded anything. I'm in the process of reconstructing.
yeah?
So
What's
last
the
week,
the middle portion though? It looks different.
yeah, because I got my see if I can see my finger in here. Got my blocks right here. So I got the magnet flywheel sitting on top of the blocks. And then I got 13 bottles propping up this other one. And then I'm going to get my rope out. Got the rope out. And then I'm going to weave one of these webs around the wheel here. And as soon as I get that done, I can knock out all the bottles. I can pull out the magnet wheel. I can stick the magnet wheel back on top. And I can go from there. And then when I'm working on it, when I'm working on it, I'm not having to lean over, you know what I mean? Because when I'm sitting down like there, I always have to be leaning over and it kills my back. So I'm going to put it where it's workspace level. But it takes time. And every time I go moving these blocks around and stuff, I sometimes hurt for days and I can't do anything. And then as soon as my neck stops flaring up, I go back to work on things.
Right.
And the other day all I did was helped out a friend from churches by cleaning out their gutters, got up on their roof and cleaned out their gutters. And I had to stop, I don't know how many times, because it was like every time I get up, I think I'm just going to like go over. So I'm just like, no, got to stop, take like 5-minute break, just sit on the roof, do nothing.
All right, we
Then
got
try
a
to do
couple
some
things
more.
going on here. So good night to my man. We got Eugene Braxton calling in about 5 minutes, and then I think JSCO77 will be joining him because he said he had some questions to ask him. So, and then you get to be a part of that
Ask me?
too. No, to ask Eugene. So we had
Oh, okay.
Eugene on earlier tonight, talking near-death experience and out-of-body experience. So he's going
Oh, I
to
have one of those.
be joining here in just a minute, and then JSCO77 will be joining too to ask him some questions. And then
Can I hang out for that part?
yeah, of course, and you can
Because
ask. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff
I
to that, man.
always have fun when people always ask me, how can you be federally electrocuted and still live to tell about it?
Now
I'm
there
like,
we
has somebody
go.
else seen it
So
happen?
you're the perfect then person to be up here for that conversation for sure. So yeah, so just when he calls in, then that's when we'll switch it up. But let me see
Right on.
for
Yeah, because
that.
when JSCO was talking, I'm just going to call him 77 because that's just easier to say.
Yeah,
And when he was talking about the last time, it was like that reminded me of that time, I was with my dad and we seen the orb of light, or at least I seen it. I remember seeing the orb of light go over the car, and next thing you know, it was like hours later. And I was gonna ask him if he ever had a problem with wristwatches.
right.
I've always meant to ask your audience about that if any of them had problems with wristwatches. Because some of us, we can't wear watches because they stop running. They just stop running. I don't know why they stop running, but they just stop running.
Just electronic watches? I guess they're all
All watches,
electronic. Yeah,
all,
most of them.
even just watches in general. I know I had one
Hmm.
relative that had like a whole box of watches that stopped working on him, and I was like, oh. 'Cause I don't know how many times I got beat as a child because I was home late because my watch stopped working. You know what I mean? Oh,
Oh
you
boy.
changed the time or something.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's actually pretty crazy. I never even, yeah, but I guess that could be a thing though, really. That I'd be interested to look into that and actually find out some more information on that, because if that's really a thing,
See, Angels for Life said they cannot wear watches. So
okay. Angels, is it something about your field or your electromagnetic field, or is it, wow. I know people who just don't prefer to wear watches, but I've never heard of
no,
people
they
who
just
have
stop working.
problems.
What's the point of
Yeah,
wearing a watch? You start learning to like look at the shadows on things, and you can tell the time by where the shadows are on the ground. You
that's
know,
pretty crazy. That's
you know,
that's.
it's
Let me write that one down because I'm gonna look into that on my with my time off and kind of see actually. And that's
even
another
my phone.
thing.
My phone does it too, and people thought I was pocket dialing and stuff, and I'm like, no, I'm literally like holding my phone in places where there's no contact with the screen, no contact with the touch screen, no contact with the buttons, but all of a sudden, you just had to give me the right stimulus, like slamming a car door. After the car accident, all you had to do was slam a car door around me, and my phone would start playing Fade to Black by Metallica. Creepy ass shit. But, sorry for swearing, but,
You're good. You're good. Yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah,
is
I
creepy
tried
as
to.
shit.
It is. And then, the one time I asked my wife if we could just sit in the house quietly for an hour to observe a family friend's funeral. And 10 minutes after his funeral was supposed to start, my phone voice dials the dead man. And still to this day, my wife does not like talking about that story, even though she witnessed it. She was sitting right there. She's seen my phone sitting on the shelf, and all of a sudden it just says dialing Dave. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna look at this here. So, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. High electrical currents. So, and this isn't from some crazy random site. This is from Long's Jewelers, who obviously has a lot of dealings with watches. And one of the, let's see, what is this under? This is under 5 reasons why your watch stopped working. Longsjewelers.com, and they say, amongst water damage, physical damage, unauthorized repair, number 4 on their list is, if you've ever read through the internet search for why my watch stopped working, you will notice that you come across these obscure sounding stories of people who are convinced that they can't wear watches because the watch stops working when I wear it. In other words, every watch they try to wear just dies instantly. And they're
Or
saying here,
shortly thereafter.
in some very rare cases, people will put on a watch and it will just stop ticking. This phenomenon, as weird as it sounds, is due to high electrical currents in a person's body. Depending on the level of electrical currents in your body, or if you have ever been exposed to electricity, you may have an effect on the battery life of your watch and if it works or not.
If
Amazing.
you've ever
Had
been
no clue.
exposed to electricity, yes. If you're like get shocked while you're wearing the watch, yes, that would do it. But I try to tell people like catfishes and eels, some of us, we produce this electrical field that's strong enough to interact with these devices. You remember when I told you I went to the NASA trailer for the show? You know what I mean? I said I kept going through there because I was wanting something. and they were convinced I was after the little piece of moon rock sitting on the table. And I said all I wanted to do was get a contact with their device, their electronic device for taking surveys, because once I touch that device and it connects back to their system, I'm in.
Yeah. Dude, I'm sitting here tripping on that's actually a thing, dude, with this watch, with the watches. Like like had I not been able to just look that up and just kind of confirm it right there, it sounds but it makes sense, but I've never heard of it, but a jeweler obviously
Exactly.
has because
Well, just
people are having
because
to bring these watches back. That is crazy.
So, just because not everybody's seen a flying disc or something in the sky doesn't mean they're not there. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I couldn't explain what was hovering on the second floor outside my window in second grade, projecting
Call
images
from
on the wall. Oh,
Eugene.
Okay,
to
we got
accept, press
Eugene in
1.
went
here.
To
south
send
for
a
a minute.
voicemail, press 2.
All right, Eugene, we got you in on the phone, and then so that means JSCO. If you join the conversation, you have to join it through the link because the line only holds one person at a time. So JSCO, if you're still out there, click the StreamYard link, and then you can opt to be on camera or not, and you can just do audio. So Eugene, man, thanks for joining us. Awesome conversation earlier, man, and we only cracked the surface, but you gave a lot of good information tonight.
Yeah, you're right. It was a good talk, and we were just beginning to get into it. Um, Now, is there a StreamYard link that I can do online, or?
Yeah, yeah. There's a StreamYard link right in the chat. I have it pinned at the top of the chat.
Oh
So
yeah, let me
yeah,
check.
if you click
I
on
was
that, that'll bring you right in here.
what? Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. I'll do it that way.
Okay, and then JSCO. That means you can call on the phone line if you need to. All right, that works.
Okay. Give me 1 minute.
Okay, yep.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so JSCO, you guys can both join the back. Yeah, that'll work too. All right, so I'll be bringing in JSCO and Mr. Eugene Braxton. And yeah, I mean, it was a wild conversation earlier, Magnet. It wasn't wild per se, but it was a deep conversation, I'll say. And yeah, this is another thing Maggie M10 brought up, which is something that I used to always be afraid of and still kind of am, is an irrational fear of spontaneous combustion. I'm with you, Maggie. I'm right there with you. I've looked up so many stories on it, and it's a thing. A lot of the time, it has it has the it's usually started by something like they say cigarettes, like people who go to sleep while smoking, and then they get a slow burn. It actually starts to burn the fat within the body, and it kind of just smolders, and that's how it ends up, appearing like spontaneous combustion. So, but I've heard stories of people who said that they've literally seen flames coming out of person's like mouth or something like that too. But it's definitely something that I used to have problems with for sure.
Did you ever check out St. Elmo's fires?
St. Elmo's Fire, I could barely hear you, Anaticus.
Yeah, let me switch. Hold on. Wrong button. That button. That button. That button. Now you can hear me, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
Okay. I can't hear you as well, but that's okay. Well, I kind of put my headphones back on, and because Gene was calling, so Yeah.
Yeah, we're waiting right now. He's
Waiting
supposed to
for
be
their.
putting
So St.
StreamYard.
Elmo Spire. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, what was going
Saint,
on with that?
you never looked that up? It's like an electrical phenomena or something where like I don't know. I don't know how to explain. I've never experienced it, so it was just something I heard about.
I'm gonna look that up. Let me bring to the stage. Uh,
Oh,
we
they're all
got
there now.
JSCO77 and we got Eugene Braxton joining the stage.
Hey, you guys.
Hey, see, JSCO, you are live with us here too. So,
I'm here with you, my friend.
all right. So yeah, you were saying, Eugene.
Yeah. What? I didn't say anything.
You said we had just touched the surface.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that was a good talk we had, and we're just beginning, uh, and we'll continue on.
Yeah, and so JSCO, I guess you can go ahead and start off with any of those questions that you had and kind of open the conversation up.
Oh, well, okay. Mr. Braxton, I'm Jimmy Scott, and it's
Hey,
a
Jimmy.
pleasure. It's a pleasure to meet you, sir. Same,
Thanks.
same
Same.
last name as Brother Dave.
Okay.
There you
Yes.
go. Yeah, I want you to know, first of all, and how much I enjoyed your presentation tonight. It was excellent. It
Thanks.
really was. You're the first person to speak on that subject that I have listened to where A, B, and C came together. You
Okay.
put things in such a way that I could really relate to it. Um, excuse me. In your testimony, as you were telling it, you were down in the water. You were in the water. You were drowning. Your body was dying. And
Yes.
you were taking steps. You were making steps, and you saw an orange sun.
Yes.
The orange light had certain qualities. Then you saw a red light that had attributes, and it did things for you.
Yes.
That the excuse me, that you said that the red light was healing you and was doing some cleansing.
Yeah, both had similar properties. The orange, kind of like the orange that we eat, was more healing, and then the red was the healing, like heart healing and love. It was also God's forgiveness, plus the healing of the heart for other wounds.
Yes,
Almost like a physical healing, and then the red color was like an emotional healing.
isn't that wonderful?
Yes. Yeah, that's good that you remembered it well, Jimmy. And yeah, that was interesting. And I hovered in the sky with the arms outstretched, like the cross. It showed the complete obedience to God, because He had complete power when He can suspend you in midair and then come to you. Because we could never live long enough to get to God. We're not at that level, but He can come to us. And He does meet us one on one, like they say, in the air. And there's a mixture of primal ecstasy and primal fear, because you're super glad that the one you need right at the moment of death or to get into heaven is now there right in front of you.
Mm.
But you're also in a good fear, like an awe that God, who knows everything about you, is now in front of you, and there's no escape from Him. So it's a mixture of both, and you're literally trembling, but you're glad that God is there, because at least you know you have a chance with Him.
That's wonderful.
Hmm.
I
There
had
is a God. There is a God. Yes.
and after that you began, and this is kind of begins to be where we came to the end of that segment, and it was break time. And the
Okay.
flow of this kind of got interrupted. At least for me, it did. The flow got interrupted. You were about to go in and talk about the white light. but we never got back around to that topic, and I was so interested in it and taken by it. I wanted to ask you, would you mind telling us about it?
Yeah, I'm glad you listened. Now, which was that, the first break or the second break?
That would have been the second break.
Yeah. Yeah. Grant did come in, and we're on a good track. But
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
the white light. So, what was the question again, Jimmy?
You were talking about the red light and its attribute and what it was doing, and you were leading up to, I think, the white light.
Yes. Super
And then the break came, and we lost the flow of it and never got back into it. And
Yeah,
I wanted to hear about it so badly.
yeah, we did. We're on a good roll too. Okay. My phone was going up.
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, the white light. So, and there's a lot of colors in the near death, and in out of body is kind of it's out of body is often black and white, but it can be psychedelic. Uh, the psychedelic tends towards more a lucid dream. But with the white lights, even in a dream, but especially in an out of body or a dream, it depends on the experience. The white light has stronger, it has the most strongest effects of all the lights in like the esoteric spectrum. The white light purifies, it purges the person of all of the earthly jive, all the earthly sins, all the earthly like thoughts and temptations. And you're not thinking about nothing below the belt. You're only thinking about your spirit is literally thinking for you, and you think your spirit is mainly driving you at that time. And the higher you go, the less physical sensation. You don't think about food or sex or girls or any of that. You think about really merging back in with what you once were and where it's you want to go back to. And so the person, just like a fish swimming upstream, is striving to get to that higher exaltation, that higher union with God. And
Yes.
you can and you do. And there's also a magnetic pull, as though God is pulling you that way too. And it's not a, it's a soft pull where you have your will and can go against it, but you're willingly going into the light. The light, yeah, has the most transformative powers because you're showered. First, the orange light heals with me and with mine, and generally in that and in regular foods and diets. The orange heals. The red is for the heart center. Like if you eat, one second, if you eat pomegranates and blueberries, strawberries, and what else do we mix? Those kind of fruits, your heart will be super clean. And we've been like juicing like with that for about a year now. Has super good effects.
Wonderful.
But so the red is for the heart center, but the white light, where those two, one cleans your heart and love center, like your gratitude to God and His to you, and then the orange heals you physically from like handicaps. But the white light, that's an elevated cosmic like light that changes you immediately and fully. You'll be changed then and then when you come back. And it goes right through you. It's there's also information that's that you absorb when in the light, and there are some really cool videos. Like the Black Eyed Peas have one, "Meet Me Halfway," where the guy's going into the light like that, and there's also where the red light and the orange light had certain physical feelings. The white light only has a cerebral purging, where you're in like the monk and saint-like status. You're like above normal, and you have your sight only on high. But it purges you, it cleans you, because it has to, because after the white light, after that is God's realm. And to get in there, you have to be fully cleansed spiritually, physically, mentally, and otherwise.
Yes.
And that, once in that white light, and you can get to that white light from a dream, especially with the strong desire, that can trump anything. Just like I said, where the prisoners have a strong desire to break free. One prisoner had such a strong desire to get out of prison that he learned how to astral travel, went to the bank, looked over the bank manager's shoulders, got the bank combination, and told his friends, to go rob this bank and then break me free, and got out. So it's but yeah, the white light, and that can be had through a powerful dream, especially if you add things like crystals, prayers, all of that stuff, and then the right desire, like you want it so badly that it has to come to you. And then when you pray for it and add the other things, the breathings, you'll get it. It'll take less than a month. It depends on how bad. When you really want something bad enough, you get it.
I'm going to be getting your book and reading
Okay.
it. Sure.
Yeah, do get it from my website because of Amazon's ripping
Okay.
to people.
Writing it
And
down.
then we'll continue to keep in contact, because when you talk to the normal people, and the scientists know this, when you talk to the normal people, you get the best information, and more can be learned in regular conversation than in all the arts and sciences. And the doctors know that it's the normal people. We're the smart ones. And it's they who have to ask us questions about what we think.
I
So
agree.
yeah.
I certainly agree. There was something I'll tell you that is of interest to me, and perhaps you can give me some insight on this. There was a very dark period of time in my life back in the mid 80s. I was an unhappy soul, very unhappy in this world. I wanted to leave this world. And I began praying every day that God would just come and take me out of this world, take me out of this world. Went on for days. And one afternoon, I walked into my bedroom and I laid down on my bed, and it was as though you threw a light switch. Click. I was gone. I was gone. I was in another place, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. I was lying on a stone table in a room, I don't know, maybe 40 feet long, 20 feet wide. It was cut out of stone. It was cut out of stone. I was lying on a stone table in the northern end of it. When I lay down on my bed, my head was pointed north. Down in the southwestern corner of the room, in the western wall, was a door. You'd have had to bend over to come through it. And the light coming from outside was very, very bright. And you imagine being in this dark room. There were no other windows or anything. It was dark in there, although from the illumination where the doorway was, I could see the contour of the walls and so forth. Okay.
Okay.
And so I'm looking out the door, and just outside that door, I can see a limb on a tree going up and down, blowing in the wind. And across the way, there's this walkway out there, and across the way, there's a low building, and all along the wall of this building was horse gear.
Okay.
And people were walking on this little stone, I'll call it, walkway, and they had on some kind of shoes, hard sole shoes, so that I could hear their footsteps, and they were
Now,
talking.
was this in reality or a dream?
Reality.
Okay.
I was wide awake. The instant I laid down, I was gone. And there was horse tack on the building. I could hear their little hard sole shoes on the pavement.
Yeah.
They were talking, but in a language I couldn't understand.
Okay.
I could almost get bits and pieces of it, but it would flit away.
Uh,
And then my attention returned to the inside of the room, just just beside the door there, on the north side of the door, there was a little straight back chair. And in that straight back chair, and I hadn't seen him before, there was a man sitting in that straight back chair.
wow.
His feet were sticking out into the light that was blowing through the door, okay? And I'm looking at his feet, and he's got on sandals, and he has on a robe. I make out a robe, and I could see the hem of his robe. I could see the hem of his robe. And like you said in your dreams, you'll think, fly, and you'll take off. I
Yes.
do that at times just in dreaming. I don't know that I've ever had an out of the body experience, but I'll think, fly, and I'll just take off. Well, I looked at his robe and I said, universe, and his whole robe lit up. And within his robe was all of creation, and it was alive and in motion. And I looked up at his face, and his face lit up in the darkness, and he was looking at me. He didn't say a word. He was just looking at me, and I looked at him. And he looked off to the side for a second. I thought a question. I'd asked, who are you? And he looked off to the side, and he looked back at me, and he had a look of deep concern on his face. And click, I was back in my room. Now, I knew who he was, and he knew who I was. At least I believed that I knew who he was. And when I came back into my room, I felt like I had stuck my finger in a 220 volt plug. I was supercharged. I came up out of that bed yelling, went running around the house, yelling, top of my lungs, praying. And I've often wondered, you said at one point tonight, you said that when changes of location take place,
Yes.
that there's room for things to have happened.
Oh,
And
the lapses in consciousness.
sir,
Was I talking about the lapses in consciousness where you might find yourself in a different location?
yes, sir.
Yes.
And that's what caught my attention and made me think about this event in my own life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that I'd experienced something at least similar. I've often wondered, I guess my question of it is, could I have got up and walked out that door? I was there just like you and I are here right now.
Yeah.
But I've often wondered, could I have walked out that door?
And what did happen? What did happen?
Well, I went through a life-changing experience
Okay.
after that. And
Okay.
I went through a life-changing experience, and I got rid of all my bad days and my depression and all the anxiety that I had and everything else. My whole life turned around, and I'm here today. I'm still alive. I'm still kicking, and it was a life-changing event. It really was. And I wondered, of course, I don't know that he would have allowed me to walk out that door, but I've often wondered if I could have. If I could have.
Probably. You sound like a guy who tells the truth, and is pretty straight out and righteous. And you sound all right. I think you could have. hmm
Interesting.
Sometimes people doubt themselves, you know. That's just how the world teaches us to be, but I think you could have. hmm
I would have never come back.
uh
Oh my, I'd have just been gone. Well, I'm glad to be here with you tonight. I want you to know what a pleasure it is to meet you and to be able to talk with you.
Hey, thanks, Jimmy. Hey, can I ask you? Can I give you like a little psychic aptitude test? It's like 8 or 9 easy questions.
Okay.
Okay. And anyone else, Rob, or anyone else who wants to. But okay, here's the first one. They're super easy, and most people do good. Um, are you right or left-handed or both-handed?
Right-handed.
Okay. Have you ever had a falling or flying dream?
Yes. Both.
Which one? Both.
Both.
Okay. Um, do you ever dream in color, or do you dream
Yes.
in black and white? Okay. Yes. Yeah. You're
Always.
doing good.
Always in color.
Uh-huh. Have you ever been walking, heard someone call your name, especially as a kid, turned around and no one was there?
I have heard my name called many times,
Uh-huh.
but I don't
Yeah.
know that I've been walking and turned around and looked and nobody was there. But
I mean, you may have been sleeping too, but have you ever heard a voice call you, but you didn't know
absolutely,
who? Yeah. Yes.
I I didn't know who exactly, but I hear my name called frequently.
Yeah. 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 You have all the signs of a like being a full psychic. And did you have any more experiences you can tell us about,
Such as that one.
or any kind?
Well,
Because sometimes people will have a deep experience and think it's nothing, and then the same person or different will have a nothing experience and think they saw God. So sometimes we discount what we think might be normal when it really might be something.
when I
Uh,
was, excuse me,
yeah, that's why it's good to talk about it and stuff with other people and stuff because
sure
they
it is.
help you to remember stuff.
Absolutely. When I was a child, I'll never forget. I was in a wheelchair for 5 years. I had a bone and joint disease that
Uh-huh.
came into my hips, and my hip bones just disintegrated, called leg Perthes disease. And I watched a lot of television, and I went through a period of time where it could be a silly cartoon, it could be anything, but I'd be watching it, and there again, that light switch like click, and I would see the ending of the cartoon or the movie. When I got finished seeing that, I'd be back where I left off and I'd watch it replay all the
Okay.
way to the end. There was that. Um, my hip bones grew back normally. I'm 75 and I've still got good hip bones. I mean, I've got some arthritis and this, that, and the other, but
Uh-huh.
I'm doing all right. I've got
You
some.
sound good. You sound good and clear.
I had a UFO experience
Okay.
that I told everybody here about just a little while ago, as a matter of fact, where I saw three craft together in formation. In fact, it was me and three friends of mine, my best friend at the time, and our dates on a Friday night in the spring of 1963.
Uh-huh.
Very impressive craft that we,
Uh-huh.
about 1,500 feet, I'm estimating. Um, they were very, very slow in the night sky. I estimate about 60 miles an hour at
Uh-huh.
about 1,500 feet. Bright gold rings around the outside perimeters. Um, White to silver on the inside going towards the middle, brighter as you got to the middle until it was like something like Jupiter on a very bright night. We
That's
saw,
a good memory. That's a
we,
good memory.
oh,
Yeah.
it's vivid. It's like it happened yesterday to me. So there was that. There have been other experiences. I have experienced one or two cases of kind of miraculous healing.
Okay.
Reoccurring dreams.
Okay. Were you ever in the war or anything? A veteran or anything?
I was in the Air Force. I got
Okay.
drafted in 69. I saw the UFOs in 63. I got
Okay.
drafted in 69, but I went into the Air Force. So I was never at war, never in combat zone.
But you know aviation and altitude and stuff like that. That's good too.
I know aviation and what, sir?
Like when the way you're describing the altitude of the UFO,
A little
and
bit.
it sounds like
I was stationed at a strategic air command base, and I worked around. You didn't have any choice about where you went to, and we were at war in Vietnam at the time, and you didn't have any choice about where you went, what field you went into. They put me in refueling, so I was around every type of aircraft basically that they had at the time, and I've seen all kind of landing lights and everything associated with that. And what I saw that night was definitely something very out of the ordinary.
Yeah, in the 60s and 70s, that was a heavy, heavy time for UFO sightings and abductions and all kinds of weird, strange stuff. Like from the Betty Hill to Betty Andreasen to all kinds, like all throughout the 60s and 70s in almost all the major states. And a lot of other weird stuff was happening back then too. And people were getting into the Silver Surfer astral travel thing back then too, like they are now, except now they're smarter and they have more experience, and
Yes.
now the experiencers talk with one another. Back then, you almost like before the 80s, you couldn't really talk about this kind of stuff
No.
without being ostracized or looked at weird.
When I told about that experience tonight, it's the first time I've told that to a group of people outside my family.
Wow.
And also one other small group of people that I'm associated with.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the first time. I mean, no, sir, you didn't go around and talk about it.
Yeah, especially about UFOs, and coming out your body. Back then they would take you to a crazy house quickly
Sure they
too.
would. Sure
Yeah,
they
they
would.
would. Yep. Because I remember, Jimmy, I remember they would have the long, like hearse, like car. It would be all white. The guys would come out with a stretcher. They'd strap you up, put you in, and then drive you away. And then you wouldn't be around for a while.
No, I've got a degree in psychology, so I know what you're saying.
Yes.
I mean, just to know, I only know enough to get myself in trouble, but yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, sir.
Yeah, back then you couldn't even. You kind of had to deal with that stuff yourself.
Yeah, you did,
Mm-hmm.
and I've kept it with me for a long, long time. Although I've been comfortable with it. I've not been uncomfortable with it. The night that I saw what I did, as a matter of fact, I felt that they were very appealing to look at.
Okay.
They were very soothing to look at, very tranquil.
Yeah.
And
Did you have any psychic experiences like when you were a teenager or a kid?
strong deja vu?
Mm-hmm.
Strong deja vu. Outside of that, sometimes if you and I were in deep conversation about something, I might know what you're going to say before you say it, or I might, when you're in a strong conversation with someone like that, and everybody has this experience. For example, you're both trying to remember a name. You've forgotten somebody's name. The instant you think of that name, I think of the name.
Yes. And also, when the person has forgotten, say something like a name, and then you stop thinking about it and go into the other subject, it pops back into your mind too.
Yes.
Just like the answer to the test. You're taking a test, and you forget the answer, and then when you go to the next question, it pops back in. So once we learn how the mind operates and how we communicate with it, it makes life a lot easier.
You know, I really did not mean to turn this conversation to myself. I wanted to share
No, no.
that experience with
No,
you
you're
and
fine. Yeah,
You're
you're
doing
continue
fine.
good
to
because
talk.
you were when you were talking before, I was interested in what you were saying. And you learn a lot. Like if you listen to other people, and especially if you listen and look at them, or just listen to them, and then you hear what they're saying, you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot.
And this platform is for exactly what's taking place right now. That's exactly why
Well, good.
we have this. So yeah, it's very much appreciated. And you, if like I said, I really did. I brought you two together to connect. Me and Eugene will talk. You know, if we
Please do.
have time, it's fine. Yeah. So feel free to ask other questions if you have it. I'm right here, so I can join in whenever you need me.
I really don't have any other direct questions of Mr. Eugene at this moment. I
Uh-huh.
don't. You know,
Yeah,
if I sat and thought about it, if you and I started talking,
yeah.
if you and
Questions
I
will come
started
up.
talking, look, questions would come up. We'd have a conversation. I don't think there's any doubt.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things here in this setting. I don't want
Well,
to be
we can.
offensive to anyone, but although you know, there's so many people you can't talk to today,
Yeah.
Mr. Braxton. There's so
Yeah.
much negative energy involved. People
Yeah.
think they know something that they really don't understand what's going on. They don't. Their spiritual eyes are not open. Their ears
Yeah.
are not open, and you know it's very difficult to find people that you can talk to. And when I heard you speak tonight, I said, "There is a man that I want to come to understand better." So,
Oh, wow.
uh,
Thanks.
yes, sir.
Yeah, it's and like you said, because I was laughing when you said, but yeah, today when you talk to people, if you're not super careful with them, they'll super explode. And
Hmm.
we didn't grow up like with people like that, um, who where you said something, then they would super literally like in the cartoon, their head explodes
Absolutely.
and they go off.
Yes, sir.
Like when we grew up, people were they were strong and they were tough, but they weren't crazy. And like you could, now you can't even look at people without them acting super weird. So a lot of people just avoid people. But you can learn a lot with people, and there's a lot of cool people now coming together. Like nowadays, it's like people are either striving to get to a higher level or they're sinking down to a super savage level. It's like no in between. People are taking sides. You're either on the high side, like with God, or you're on the side of the devil and the super criminals. And there's a lot of them too. But it's split now. And uh, people, it's a deep, the way that the world is becoming. Uh, I mean, it was prophesized, but it's really just beginning the wildness. So it's the more you can stay out of it and keep focused on the highest things for you, the better.
Whatever
But
things are good, whatever things are lovely. Yes, sir.
yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
indeed. Yes, indeed. I. It's amazing to me how people and circumstances get put into your life, and you learn from it. You learn from it. We go through growing periods. You know, we go
yes,
through periods of time when we grow emotionally, mentally, physically, of course. But I'm saying that there is a lot of room for spiritual growth these days in most people, a lot of people, and people such as you have such a great deal to share with folks. And I want you to know how much I appreciate you. I,
I can hear it, and I appreciate you saying it. I appreciate coming from normal people or regular people like me more than any scientist or anything like that because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And the regular people like us, actually, we actually care about each other. And
yeah,
that's what scares them. And we know more than them about a lot of stuff. This guy knows how to do that. And this guy knows how to do this. And that's the regular people. So we have the power, especially in the ways of like the paranormal, the esoteric, and it's not the scientists or the doctors. It's us, the regular people. And when we talk together, A lot of information can be shared, and a lot of goodwill too. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. There's one other thing I want to say before I'm going to give you and Rob an opportunity to talk. You said something else tonight that really stood out to me. Rob was asking you if you could, in a sense, be waylaid by spirits that are not so good while you're traveling, while you're in different. If you're in that close to death kind of situation, could you be waylaid at that point? And you told Rob no. And it really stood out in my mind that you could not, because all you've got to do is mention God and they run for the hills.
They do. They do.
They do.
That, yes. Even if you're paralyzed, have that sleep paralysis, it stops if you even start to think about God. That's a strong, strong power. But what you said before about being waylaid, and can you repeat that? Because it reminded me of something really good.
Yes, sir. I was saying that you and Rob were talking. Rob had asked you a question when you were going through your near-death experience, or when you were involved in astral travel. Can you be waylaid by entities? Okay, entities out there that do not have your best interest at heart. Can you be harmed by them?
Yes, yeah. Let me. That's a good question. That's a really good question, and that's super good listening, Jimmy. Yeah,
Rob was asking you that question tonight earlier during the show.
Yeah, so that's good that you, and it's interesting what people hear and listen to, but what's important to them they'll hear. But yeah, more so in not so much in the out of body or dreams will the person stray from their natural nature, but more in the real life will a person be tempted into corruption by an idea, a thought, a stripper, a Playboy magazine. It's and those entities seek to corrupt the character of a person instead of getting to him psychically. It's easier to put a pretty girl in front of him, or show him a pack of drugs, or take him to a buffet and let him feed himself to death, or some diet pills and something like that. So the demonic or spiritual attack will be psychological, and it will seek to attack any weaknesses in the person's character, morals, or thinking, or integrity, and then it'll infest and break them down that way. And that's why that good thinking, that good armor of God can protect you from a lot of that jive, where really it doesn't come around you, and you only have good luck, and people treat you well. And so when you walk in the power of like God's light, you live a super good life. And you know the other side too, but with God's side, it's just covers it all. It's the best way and the only way for the total fulfillment, total self-actualization, where you can become the person you want to be. And everyone needs like a teacher or a guide, and especially us, as we're so wild nowadays. And he's the perfect one that will lead you to whatever you want in the right way that's natural for you. And it's free, and all you have to do is ask him and believe that he is, and then he does it. I've been trying that since I was 19, and everything I asked God for, he always gave me. But it was in his time. But when it came, it was perfect, and it was 77 times more than what I expected. He overgave it.
Yes.
For free. He overgave it. The scientists, the world authorities, the knowledge of the electromagnetic, the levels of consciousness. I was working with the Temple Police. I wasn't into like the scientific gamma rays, but he restored the memory and made me know it, and made me write his truth and the truth of what happened, because it wasn't indescribable to the life after death, near death thing. It's just unremembered. But with God, He gives you that clarity of thought and of mind, and it's just a penetrating power that everyone has to experience. And in fact, that is our life's goal. Like the goal of a person is to find themselves, then find the God within themselves and by themselves. That's our primary goal on earth. And when you do those three things, then you will be fully alive and fully free, because you really won't need anything. But to find yourself, find the God inside yourself, and you have to do it by yourself. That's like the quest. And you can do it at any time, but God is always there to help. We just don't call on Him. We don't rely on Him until we're up against the wall, and then He helps us still.
Yes.
So it's good.
Grace is a wonderful thing, isn't it?
He's so and the person should believe in Him like I did. But when you die or almost get shot or almost drown or do get, then you really believe. When your life is at stake or you almost lose your life and God helps you, you believe. And then when He helps you over and over and over and over, He's helped me many times. I've broken my neck twice, and my neck I've never had surgery, and it's repaired itself. So many things in every aspect, medically, psychologically. It's so I always, if you're with Him, there's nothing bad that can come to you. I've had people who tried to attack me who were taken out, and their people were taken out way before. And so if you have Him, you have a strong protector. And so what would seem like working with the top world authorities, two at a time, would seem impossible to people like us. But when you add God in it, it becomes super easy. He literally does it for you. All you have to do is hold the pen, and He writes it out for you. So that's a power you gotta stay with.
That's right. And that's.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. You go ahead, please.
No, yeah, it's. But I think we're feeling the same thing about God. Yeah.
Yes, we are, and it's so important that people realize, with all the talk these days about all these supernatural powers that do genuinely exist. It exists, and it doesn't have your best interest at heart. And it may be difficult for people to see or to know or understand why there is protection available for you out there. Listen, the one that the evil one, I'll call him, does not have your best interest at heart. He's the father of lies. He comes but to lie, kill, and to steal. He comes for those things. You have no need of being in fear of him nor anything else that is within his power. Nothing. He cannot touch you because of the sacrifice that was paid for us all.
Yes.
He can't touch you. You're covered.
Yeah, he literally cannot, spiritually or physically.
He cannot touch you. And people
He's afraid
need to know
touch you. He's afraid to touch you.
If it take, yes, indeed. Yes, sir. And if it may take people a while to come to that realization, but if they can come to that realization, they're home free.
Yes.
They're home free. I had a person ask me one time, I hear people talk about, the meaning of life, and I'm a simple person. I'm a simple person, and I somehow, and I don't understand exactly how it all came about, but we were there before we came here. We made a conscious decision to come here. I believe, anyway, of my own free will, that we had a free will decision to come here and figure it out. And then one day we'll make a free will decision to go back home. And somehow I believe that's the reason we're here. That we make that choice of our own free will and it pleases the one who created us.
Yes. Yeah. He is so good that he allows us to pick what we want. And he hopes that we'll pick him, but he
Yes.
allows us to choose. He could the amount of control he could exert. I mean, here you're talking about someone who can control your heart. He could stop us, but he lets us pick whatever we want, hoping that we'll choose him. And the smart ones do.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Well, I'm going to run along here and let you and Rob talk a little bit. Again, it's a pleasure to meet you, sir, and I'm going to look forward to being able to talk to you again in the future.
Good to meet you, Jimmy. Thanks, my man.
Thank you, sir. Good night to
Yes.
you.
And Jimmy, I sent
too.
you an email. I had a couple questions for you that I sent by email.
Oh,
So
okay.
you can reply whenever you get the chance.
Oh, okay. They're not something you need right now, right, Rob?
Yeah, no, I don't need it right now.
Okay, my friends.
All
Y'all
right,
all have a good night.
Yeah,
Bless
take
y'all.
care. Talk
Thanks,
to you soon.
Jimmy. Now that was a good man.
Yeah.
You can tell the way he talks. He's a solid horse.
Yeah, and pay close attention. My bad. Pay close attention to the conversation. I am very impressed by that. That he was able to recall the conversation and with detail. So that was awesome. And yeah, I mean, he has some great questions, man. You really answered. You guys resonated a lot, and it came down to talking about what a lot of us call God, some call, just as I was talking to Decipher, some call a higher, a greater consciousness, different names, but at the end of the day, same message, same, you know, base message. We're all talking about the same thing. So that's what I liked about it. Normally I don't get into religion only because there's usually some sort of disagreement or argument behind it. But when everybody can agree that there's something bigger than us and greater than us, then it's okay. And the conversation, still pertains to everyone who's listening. So I love it.
See, and yeah, I'm the same way and a lot of people see with religion versus spirituality. With spirituality, there is a God and just a God, but with religion, there's a pope, a priest, these secondary mediators. But with true spirituality, there's only God, and that kind of quest is personal too. That is within the person and their God, and so religion, no, not the way they're doing it, but spirituality, where it's a one-on-one thing with God, where you and God will judge each other, no one else. That's the right way.
Yeah.
But if it's directed by man, it's not, compared to God, not that good compared to God. But Jim, go ahead.
No, I had Maggie M10 ask a question while you two were talking there towards the end, and she was asking, "Do you think it comes with age and or wisdom?"
What comes?
Yeah, it was part of it. Was she put that in a little earlier? I don't remember exactly where you were at in the conversation, but if you could elaborate, Maggie, on that, then I'll ask him again.
See, with Jimmy, the age and experience does help a lot. Like I'm in my late 50s, and each decade you learn a lot more, especially if you stay alive, and you meet a lot more people. And by the time you're in your 50s, you've kind of dealt with a lot of stuff. The 40s and the 50s is the time to get ahead, when most men get ahead in the 40s and 50s. And then the 30s, you're still learning and developing, and 20s. But 40s and 50s, that's when most guys start to get up there. And not when they're in their 20s and 30s, but the majority of men start to really get up in their 40s and 50s. Then they're fully seasoned. Like if you think of Michael Corleone in Godfather 2, say. He was a little younger, but the guy, after a few several decades of experience, you learn a lot of stuff. And you then learn to act in the right way and to associate with the right people too. That's super important.
Yeah, she elaborated. She was saying they were saying if people just came to the realization how it could help them, and I guess that's where the question pertained to. Like, do you think that comes with age and or wisdom? But I guess you just answered that. So, and my whole thing is, and what I'm in the area, you're right, what you just said. So, at those certain age ranges, you develop more sense of awareness of what's going on, and you're able to look at things in a different way. Now, I can't wait for the day when we have, you know, flipped the switch on most of society, where now instead of having to live to these certain ages to be enlightened, that you're more enlightened from birth and you're more enlightened from the very beginning, where you don't have to process any of that unnecessary information, and all that BS is out the window, because now that we've reached that point of enlightenment, that it just, you get it from, you know, from the first moments of life, and as you come up, instead of being tied into what society has dictated should be, and all these rules and regulations that we grow up understanding before we are able to see through all that stuff and realize what the real is. So it's going to be great for some future generations that actually get to have most of their life where they understand, whereas we had to wait until midlife, second half of our life, before everything really was clear for us. So it's going to be a beautiful thing to know that they will, our future grandchildren, great grandchildren, will have the opportunity to just be enlightened from birth. I just can't wait for
Yeah,
that.
yeah. But you know, someone said, I can't remember who, maybe some famous singers, but some famous guy said that the person, I don't know if it's Keith Richards or Lee Iacocca or Joe Frazier, but he said that the person that I wanted to be, that I thought I would be at 20 or 30, I eventually became when I was 60.
Hmm.
And that's why it's important to know what each decade entails, so that you can raise up. But yeah, you learn slowly. Um, and like, whatever age you are now, if you would have known those things half of your age ago, like if you're 30 now, say you're 40 now, and if you were 20 but knew what you knew as a 40-year-old, you could super deal.
Right.
If you're 60, like I am, and you go back to when you're 30s, you could super operate. But
Right.
in real life, you kind of learn slowly. You might be a master like Eric Clapton in certain things, or a baseball player, but in all around, it's a slow progression. But if you live long enough, 50, 60, 70, you start learning a lot, and you get way more careful, like the Marlon Brando and the Godfather. You get super careful when you're older, because you can't afford, especially the guys, can't afford to make any kind of deep mistakes. But the older you get, you know a lot of stuff in a lot of ways. You know a lot of people, you've seen so many situations. So the age helps a lot. With age comes good experience, but and good wisdom, knowing what to do and when to do it, and with the right who to do it with. Because you can go down any path in life, but it's the fool's misfortune to fail in obtaining the job, housing, and circumstances, that he desires. You can really get anything you want in this world. You just have to go about it the right way and plan out your life wisely. It's an amazing life that we're given, and a lot of the things we can get for free, especially if we have the right inner qualities. It literally comes to you just for being good and developing yourself.
Yeah, man. I always wonder, because obviously living life, the way it's currently set up, the way it's been set up, you have to go through learning a lot of unnecessary stuff in order to one day come to the realization that none of that matters. And then now you kind of have to start from scratch again. So it just always makes me wonder, like what it's gonna feel like to be able to learn the correct information from day one and not have to take in any of the BS. Because I think your trajectory is a little better, or probably a lot better. When you don't have to sift through the BS. It's like it's just like a cell phone with bloatware, right? Just a bunch of unnecessary stuff in there. And once you clean all that out, you got you got your bare bones, a good working device. And I think that's I can't wait till we ascend to that place, because there is a lot of unnecessary things that they shove down our throat, in our children's throat, forcing them to learn, in these early years. It is really, they really just preparing them to plug themselves into the machine. And
Preparing them for the slaughter. Yes. Yeah.
man,
Like
it's
lambs to the slaughter.
frustrating to even talk about, because we talked about this here. This was the one thing that we talked about pertaining to that I think no one thought about. And then when we sat there in the moment and talked about it, it was just really mind blowing to everybody who listened. And it was the fact that with that system we just talked about, and the unnecessary information that they are feeding us, that when you look at and I'll just give the quick version of this, like when you turn 18 years old and now they want to spit you out into the workforce, into the machine, you have essentially, we just say 40 to 45 years of work that they want you to perform during that time frame. Within that time frame, if you're making less than, well, I think we did like $50,000 per year, which no one is really, I mean, not the average person is barely making that, if that, usually a
Yeah.
lot less than that.
Yeah.
So you are taking home before taxes like $2.25 million for 45 years of work at a rate, a base salary of like $50,000. So the question was, when we had this originally, was if somebody came to you at 18 years old and said, "Here's a check for $2.25 million. Do with it what you will, but you have to work for me every day for the next 45 years." Does that sound like any sort of deal or no? And the answer was unanimously no. Like, who would take $2.25 million at 18 years old to work for someone for the next 45 years? However, it's being done, and it's being done for a lot less. And it's just like, there's so many people and things at play to kind of just really, when you look at that, it's so disrespectful to the rest of humanity. Like, who you would really do that? Like, you would really propose that to someone, and with a straight face, and a lot of people don't have any choice but to accept it, because that's the system that they built for us. And it's just pathetically, sadly, ridiculously disrespectful, and it is totally going against holding us back or not letting us ascend to this place that we hope to go. Like, that is just blatant. Like, we don't care what your life turns out to be. We don't care. You know what I mean? And
I mean, doesn't it
ugh,
almost seem? Do you think it almost seems unholy?
yes,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah. I mean, because if those clowns who are in full control, like this one family, I won't say the name, but supposedly they have what, $575 trillion, where they own all of America, Europe, and everything. But they wouldn't want to see the regular, who they think are nothing, those people rise up and rise to a higher level. So they're definitely going to try and stay in control. But the person's life is so short that they almost don't even have the time to think about that. They have to kind of like either eke out their existence or strive to be something. But life goes so quick that
Yeah.
if the power clowns want to play that game of, world monopoly, and they want to spend their time in life that way, that's cool. Because we'll never really see them, and kind of like people like us who are on YouTube and stuff, uh, and in the UFO field, really won't be too deeply affected, I don't think, by them. So we're just trying to kind of have like a normal like life of some kind of comfort because everyone has had it hard. But what we should really do is get all the regular people from every country together, find out where those super rich clowns live, like the billionaires, and just go raid them. We could get the cops and the soldiers in with that too. Just go raid them and share like they do in those other countries. Just take, not take over the government, but take over all the rich people, like the Gates, the Bilderbergs,
Yeah.
the
Yeah. I know.
Rothschilds. Just
Man,
go
but
get
see,
them.
that's
Let the government stay and go get the rich trillionaires.
the
We'll share
pro.
it with the government.
Like the whole
But
problem is we can never get to. Let me see.
The rich people
there's
are the government.
there's enough people where if they and someone could figure out where is the gold, where is the cash, where are the diamonds, and the
Yeah.
masses could go get that. We'd share it with the government because you really can't. It's hard to take over your own government, so we'd have to work with them. But we'll just rip off the rich people, share it with the government, share it with the people. We could probably all be millionaires.
Yeah.
Oh,
This
trust me,
is.
the rich will rip off you without a problem.
Yes, yes,
Oh
They'll
yeah.
they
do it
will.
every day with your lack of common sense.
Yeah,
They
they
do it
don't
Yeah.
see
every.
us as they don't see us as anything. But we're better than them. They know that we're stronger than them. If they get
Everybody
the
knows.
COVID, they will die. We will bounce off of it after a couple of weeks. They wish they had our hardiness, our integrity, and our goodwill. We like each other more than they like each other. I would,
Yeah.
when you get in, you see those mansions that they live in. There's some cold-hearted, money-grabbing, like all kinds of incest-loving stuff going on in there, where
Yeah.
they see us as super virtuous compared to them. So they're nothing like to be jealous of. It's better to be around the normal people than among the super rich and elites. They're not elite. They're lower.
See, but see, I think that's where they've breeded. They've because of the way society is set up, and I talked about this before. They kind of want to make us feel that's like the illusion is that we because we're with other people in the same situation that it our the thing that we say is, oh well, I'm at least I'm with other people that I care about, or there's things that comforts that aren't actually real comforts, they're illusions, because it's all we really have and all we really have. So it's like, well, as long as I'm with people who are in the same position as me, then we can all kind of be okay together and just depend on us on what we got. But it's the whole thing is that in order for us, like with that enlightenment that we get that day that everybody gets awakened, that this whole system has to change. And the thing what has to happen is we have to come together as humanity, and we have to demand that this thing change. We have to devalue the dollar. We have to give the dollar no light. We have to make these stock markets crash. We have to do whatever we have to do to kind of make this thing restructure. You make the stock market crash, you're going to affect those people with money immediately. And immediately it's going to be a different ball game. And then we have, I talked about the communes and stuff, and Decipher's kind of leaning into that because it's saying, ask this question: would you work for 20 hours in the community where everything is shared and provided for by each other? And if you needed to go to the food library, if you needed clothes library, every library imaginable. We work towards each other, and then when you're finished with an object, you bring it back to the library. And I guess this is how they saw it on another planet. It was the flow of energy, and so using the same sort of mindset where it's like the thing is we have to restructure this society. We can't ascend and then still have the society that we're in. This society has to be brought down to its knees. And that doesn't necessarily mean being anti government and saying the government needs, because that's the card that they'll want to pull on you, is that you're being anti government, but you're not really. The governments can survive and succeed. That's fine. But if it's all on the back of money, well, then I don't know what to tell you, because money, in the way that this whole capitalism is set up, in a way where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, and
Because
it
the
just
way you
cannot
spend your money.
it can't continue that way. It has to change.
Yeah,
Along
and
It's the way you guys spend your money. It's how you spend the money that you guys. That's what I'm saying is that fraction of a cent doesn't look like much to the individual,
right.
but you got to multiply those times millions of people, and that lack of common sense adds up. That's what I've tried to, and that's why I'm kind of like, I like what Decipher was saying, is because of the fact that if we all pooled our money together, right? We buy one package of toilet paper, it's going to come to some odd amount after tax that you don't have the common sense for. So if you get a bunch of people together and you buy enough packages of toilet paper at the same time and then distribute it out evenly, you have the exact amount needed. Kind of like the gas station sign. That's why I always use the gas station sign, because it's in big numbers that there's 9/10 of a cent on that cost of a gallon of gas.
I think the
You
thing
can't use
that
exact
is,
change and buy exactly 1 gallon of
look,
gas.
that's
You
if
can
you
buy
play
10 gallons. You can buy 10 gallons and get
you get
exactly
9/10. Yeah,
But
I've seen that. Yeah, it's good watching, guys. I've seen that 9/10. You
the
see it, but you
9/10
don't
is
see it.
bad because they're only swiping 1/10 of a cent. It's when it
But-
only comes to 1/10 of a cent, but you're paying the other 9/10 of a cent into
Yeah.
it. This is where it's like when you look at the prices, like the 19.99 or whatever. After tax, that equals like some really weird number, but they always round up, but they try to make Roundup sound like a bad thing. Oh, Roundup's bad. Roundup's
gotta-
bad.
Well,
ask
see, it's
yourself
always
Yeah,
Go
go ahead,
ahead, Rob.
Eugene. No, go ahead.
it's always a game in this country where we live. It's always a game where you can't even buy cinnamon without some kind of arsenic or lead being in it, like you heard recently on the news. And so you have to be super careful about what you get involved with in like this worldly kind of system. And that's why a lot of people are going to the higher levels of spirituality and kind of like a monk-like, mystic-like living, because they're getting away from it's just too corrupt, too dirty.
Yeah.
It's all kinds of crap going on. You walk outside, kids are getting kidnapped, and at one point last week, some pilot like jumped the other pilot and was trying to crash the plane. I think that was in California. It's some crazy
it's the
shit going on.
passenger.
Oh, yeah.
That was a
Yeah,
pilot.
it's some nutty stuff going on, and they have a lot of theories why it might be happening. But people are just so bizarre. The world is so bizarre with the Israel thing and all kinds of bullshit. These various little viruses that aren't really strong. They underestimated like the stock of the people worldwide, and we're a lot stronger than they are. But there's a lot of stuff that you have to really pull away from and kind of like isolate, almost like a monk in that kind of kung fu thing where you're really just separated. You're in the world, but not of it, It's just too much if
Yeah.
you get into it like that.
Well, just
It's
like
better to really go to a movie or see a football game than to watch the news and get involved in all that 24/7
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't want
I
to.
stay away from it. Believe me,
It's
I
a
don't
drag.
even. because there's
My
nothing you
TV's
can
been
do
up
about
like
it.
for
But
years.
that's why I said that's why it's so important right now, because we're in a moment where uh, we all get this potentially confirmation here, maybe within our lifetimes, and it forces a move by humanity. Like, it forces one of those big, huge historical moments where you get to change things potentially, like in this here and now. Like, if humanity came together in this confirmation and was like, wow, these things are right here, they're from another planet, this means everything needs to change, and then humanity together decides where we go going forward. That's the only. But here we're in that moment, and we can either do it the right way, which is why we do these shows like this and come together and try to wake everybody up, or we let the opportunity pass and we end up going into this and really leaving this for our descendants, our great grandchildren, to have to deal with this mess that we didn't could take control of in the moment. This is one of these moments that they'll read about for thousands of years to come, where we all woke up, came together as humanity, crushed this system that we are currently dealing with, and then forged a new way for humanity going forward. Like, that's how serious this is right now. And one of the reasons why I'm in this way is to help to try to help with that. It's not necessarily to make people believe UFOs are real. That's just part of it. In the awakening of where we have to get to after we realize that they're here, and where we are going to go going forward. Like, that's really what all this is for. And the reason why we sit up here at night and have these conversations, that's what this is all about. And you have a chance to be able to really make a mark in this, even though it may be big or small, it still is playing a part, because we need everybody. And this is, but if we don't do it, then yeah, we'll be stuck with the same BS system that we've been dealing with, and we'll just hand this system off to our great grandchildren. And then who wants to
You know
do
what
that?
most people don't realize about American government? You know what the biggest thing people don't realize about the American government
What?
is you gotta get a mix of both sides. So the government, so you gotta have you put Republicans in the Senate and Democrats in the Congress, and then you kind of got stuck with whoever gets the president's office, right? But you got to try to stack the Democrats and the Republicans, pretty much equally in both the Congress and the Senate. And when you have that going on, they spend so much time arguing with each other. They don't have time to pass any new taxes because they can't agree on anything. That's what the people they're everybody's like, oh, you either got to vote for this side or the other side. No, you need to vote for both sides. You need to vote you got to get a mix of them in there that they spend so much time fighting with each other. They don't worry about the people.
In fact, remember, they almost had a fist fight with the Bernie, what's that guy's name? Bernie
Mac?
The guy, no, the Jewish
No,
guy
not
from
Bernie Mac.
Connecticut or whatever he's from. Well,
Bernie
the Jewish guy, Sanders.
Yeah.
He stopped the fist fight because they were getting ready to fight over some proposition. Just like Clint Eastwood said, he said in The Outlaw Josie Waits, he said, governments don't live together, people live together. And then he went on to explain how where you really don't get a fair chance with government, but he was willing to give the clown a fair chance or a fair fight, either way. That was a really good scene in the movie. And when the people unite and get together, they can't no government, defeat them.
Period.
Even in numbers. But with these rich clowns, it's not. We would have the government help us get the rich clowns' money. We would let the government with the helicopters go get the money for us, and then we split it. But
all you have to do is look at the percentage, right? We have it when we talk about the financial system, and we talk about the 1% and then the 99%. The 1% seem like the powerful, but then when we talk about humanity waking up and then demanding a change, then all of a sudden we have the 99% and they have the 1%. So we hold the power. So it's but it's like the thing is that that's why it's so important that We are talking to other people. We are trying to bring people in. We are trying to get people to spread the word on their own time when they're not here at the show, when they're out with their people out there, and they, try to just at least start with what's going on right now, which is the biggest thing in humanity's history. Is these UFOs are here visiting us from another star system. Let's start there and get people to realize that once they do, it's going to be like, oh my God, once we get contact with them, it's going to change things forever. And we have to just be prepared for when that moment comes that we can go ahead and then activate the plan that we want to put in place. Because if we're not preparing for it and we're just sitting up here and then say tomorrow morning we wake up and we have that disclosure, the confirmation the aliens have landed in everyone's front yard and now that moment is here, we haven't thought anything through. We haven't had enough conversations to figure out where we want to go with this. We haven't figured out what's the best way forward. That's why we do these shows here. That's the reason why. I mean, literally, is to have the conversation now and figure out, spitball between each other, throw ideas off the walls. Not one person with ideas. It's everybody coming together with their own ideas on how they vision human. That's why I always ask during interviews how you vision, humanity after disclosure, because it's a very important question and everyone should have an answer to that question. And you'll be surprised that not a lot of people have even thought that far, which is so silly and crazy to me. And I ask that question to a lot of hosts too, because if you are going to have a platform where you are giving the information to your viewers and you're not even thinking that far ahead, then you're not doing your viewers a service at all. You're doing them a disservice and leaving them in a situation where they will be unprepared when that day comes. But we can't even afford for that because we need those viewers. We need everyone to be on the same page at the same time. And that goes back to a whole thing on why ufology is all divided and people want their camps and they won't let anybody cross to this other camp. But the people in power see that and they love that. They love
the division.
That it's divided, because if they even saw an inkling of we were all getting together and kind of it was something kind of rumbling, then that's when they would really be trying to step in and trying to squash all that, because they don't want that. But we have to want that because it's the only way we're going to get to that place we need to go. And it's so frustrating to talk about because it sounds radical almost, you know what I mean? And it could be painted as that. Like someone on a government side could hear a conversation like this and then want to point fingers and say, oh, they're preparing something, they're getting something together, and then paint it as some sort of anti-government movement or something you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, though?
I
They've
do,
done that
but
to a lot of people, a lot of groups.
they have. But see, those people have gone out of their way to aggressively attack the government. But it can be done like inside the mind, where you just silently get together, quietly on radio stations and privately, even in person. Once you get the people together, and they're listening to every like if the super rich, they don't have nothing else to do but spy on us and see what we're talking about, because they get their ideas from us on what to wear, what to eat, and they're watching and they know we. So we don't have to attack them. We don't have to. All we have to do is mobilize and talk among ourselves. We know who we are and we know who they are, and it can literally be done overnight. But they know that communication if the normal people communicate with each other, they'll soon take control. And it'll be a righteous control. But they have way too much. And the normal people like us, we don't even have nothing. Not like they have. You've seen these architectural digest videos that these houses, we don't have anything. We don't even have like good food. So they must share, and they will share. That's what they're afraid of. They will share. God will make them share. And he has been. They're not doing good. They are not. They are not
but
doing good.
there's just too many, and I like the speak silently aspect. I like that. I do. I like that. I think that's a great way to approach it too. But it's just when we look back, we have history of just even in our own African American community, with the the a lot of the groups that they infiltrated and took down back in the 50s, 60s, 70s. Like we know that anytime any sort of movement to, and in a lot of cases, what weren't violent movements were just movements to get the
They got
basic
too
bare
big.
necessities to get basic human rights.
They
You know what I
oh
mean?
they did us so cold, Rob.
And that's what I'm
They did
saying.
us
So
so
when
cold.
if they could do that,
Whew.
then don't you think they would do that in another situation where all humanity wants to do is be able to do things on our terms and make decisions that are just the best for us? Like they would definitely do that. They would definitely want to step. Well, we know they would because they there
They did
really
it
isn't
before.
ever and there isn't a situation where us ascended and awoken goes with them still holding the type of power that they want to hold. Those two things can't coexist, and they know
But
that. Go
yeah,
ahead.
but see, the power that they think they hold is really illusionary power. They don't hold no power. There's only one power, and he holds it all. And at the height of their foolishness, they'll be broken completely, and they have been. If you
Yeah,
look into their lives,
yeah. I get that.
they think they have power. They don't have no power, and they won't even be alive soon. They're getting old. They're weak, genetically weak. They have no power,
I get
and
that.
they can use all the illusions, all the commercials they want, but they know it won't be long for them, and we will rise up in a righteous way, and right always wins, and their time is done. Their money is done. They're done.
That's
I
They're
fine.
not
get
even
that.
having kids.
Mhm.
They are done.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I
Mhm.
agree. That's the key. That's the missing key that just hasn't applied itself. But you're totally
When
right. I
we
think in
say
that moment,
when they
yeah,
say God, when we say God will help us, they say I am God. They are cracked up. When you have trillions, you get super crazy, and then they're on drugs and all that stuff. It is so their days are done, and they know it.
yeah, I
And we're
think you're right.
telling them that it's done, and so they're going to jump off a bridge. It's hideous lives. Okay, if you look inside some of those super rich and corrupt clowns, they are literally demonic. They will drink your baby's blood to stay alive. It's super crazy. You're super safer with the normal people.
Yeah,
At least you
yeah.
know they won't kill you for nothing.
And
Mhm.
this can that's why these when it gets to this because it's so important and because like I feel like it's so much work to like we have to literally get a lot of people on board to start moving that way. It just ends up being frustrating when you talk about it. But I still want to see it through as far as I can. I still want to do what I can to help and try to move it that far, however
Yeah.
far that is, so that at the end of the day, I can say that hey, I did what I could to try to make this thing go, and won't have any regrets or anything like that.
It's
Um,
it's it's better to talk about important things among a small amount of people than to talk bullshit among a stadium full of people.
yeah,
Hmm. I'd
I
rather have a
agree.
few good friends than a multitude of false enemies who are going to backstab you.
So here's what I want to do. This has been awesome. We want to shut it down right now, and we can continue this conversation tomorrow. We have another call-in show. It would be great to carry that into the next day and leave it as packed and factual and full of just the great information that we've. There was no BS tonight. It was all real data, and I want to keep it right there. So I appreciate you coming in tonight, Eugene.
No problem.
Definitely, we're going to be doing this again if you're up and around. I would love to have you back. Same thing with you, Magneticus.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, same time,
Hey,
same bat channel, right?
And
I,
Jimmy
I,
too.
I,
He was
I
good.
And Jimmy, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he was good.
JSCO77, please consider coming back. And also, anyone out there that, if you're have just been lurking, that's cool. I love that. Maybe sometime we can get you to hop in the chat with us and join the conversation. Take baby steps. You don't have to take huge steps, and then eventually maybe get you to speak up. But at the very least, I would love if you would consider hitting that subscribe button, notification bell, and coming back for later conversations. We do this all the time, every weekend. And yeah, so I want to thank you guys again. I'm going to go ahead and close the show out, and hopefully we'll be talking again very soon.
All right, thanks, Rob.
All
All
right,
right,
Eugene,
thanks,
talk
Rob.
to you soon.
I'll
All
be
right,
talking to you
Magneticus.
tomorrow, Rob, too.
Yeah, okay, for sure. All right. All right, guys. So, yes, it is that time. We had a great freaking show tonight. I am just blown away. Not just at the after hours, which was excellent. If you didn't see that, please go back and watch that show. But even tonight here at the Social Dig Late Night Calling Show, it was freaking epic. But like I was just saying, we got to have, these are important conversations, and they just frustrate me because I'm so passionate about where we need to go and how we need to get there and what it's going to take. And I know that there's a big battle ahead of us to do so. But yeah, that higher power, I think, kicking in is going to be one of the wild cards that we aren't considering in the moment. And I'm just, man, I can't wait to see that. I can't wait. But here's what I will say. There's no way that anyone who cares about where we're going with this should be able to sit around and not just play a part. It could be as simple as giving some great information, just whatever it takes to do what it shows right here on the screen to positively progress humanity. That's what we do here at the Social Dig. That's the reason why we exist. That's the reason why we sit up here and talk at night. That's the only reason why I do this. I'm not doing this to be a celebrity or to be some known figure. You know, I had that in my younger days. It's not what I do this for. It is simply for what you see on the screen. Always and forever, this will be the case. So whatever we can do to move the needle, you know, whatever you can do to put positive energy out there and get this thing moving is gonna help. You know what I mean? And I have to get that Excel sheet from Magneticus so I can start keeping the chat names in here. I will thank everyone who is here right now. Nikki, Angels of Life, thank you so much for coming. Thank you, JSCO77. Appreciate you, Derek Galloway. Thank you, D Cypher. Thank you, Magneticus. Thank you, D Worm. Appreciate you. Maggie M10. Let me put that up there because that's really what it's all about. Thank you, Maggie M10, for coming. Lovey Love, thank you for showing up. Thank you for furthering the conversation. I know Deb from SAC was here earlier. To Mothman, thank you for coming. Want to make sure I can at least hit as many people as possible. Oh, Alien Outlaw, thank you for coming through. We appreciate you. Sarah Yan, appreciate you. Let's see. Brown Dwarf, appreciate you coming through. Area 51, of course, thank you for coming through. I know Jessica S was here for a minute. Thank you for coming through, Jessica. And we're looking good. So, outside of that, thanks for coming by the Social Dig. I'm proud to be your host, Mr. Rob G. You guys have a great rest of your night, y'all. Take care.